Greetings and welcome to episode 12 of the Weekly Review, the weekly podcast for Words About Games where we sit down and talk about the games that we've been playing. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, joined this week by Mr. Daffy Moody's that way. Not that way.
It's Monday. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for some bad takes.
Probably.
Time to piss off weird nerds on the internet.
Definitely.
With our 100% correct video game opinions.
Our definitive correct opinions. Let's be frank here, ladies and gentlemen. Our opinions are so right and correct and spot on that they are perfect.
Yeah. How could they
Even
not?
When we disagree, they are perfect. Amy.
Both
That's
opinions are still perfect.
Yeah.
It's almost like as long as your opinion isn't based on incorrect information, it's always correct.
Yes.
That's how opinions work. It's fantastic.
Fabulous. Some might say it's pretty glorious.
Some might say that. Some people whose branding revolves around that word might in fact say that it's glorious. Like, I like how your branding is like glorious, right? Which is like this really awesome positive term. And my branding is words. Like I was in people's streams quite a lot over the Christmas break, and I'm trying to get back into like going in my friends' streams a lot more. And like people like in chat, like people who the streamers call me Amy because they all know me. But like people in their chat will see Words About Games and they call me Words. Words has become my identity.
Your nickname is Words.
Words has become my identity on Twitch.
How many words will she say?
Someone called me Words About. And I was like, okay.
We're getting there.
Right?
Words about Amy?
Words about what? Everything.
Yes.
I want to show off my mug. I want to show off my Christmas mug because it's amazing.
It is the cutest mug ever. I don't deny
cool. that. $10.99 on Etsy.
all that cat needs to look like is Catra, and I'll probably buy one.
Well, there's 3 different ones, right? I mean, none of them look like Catra, but there's like 3 different colored ones.
Yeah.
The only thing is, when you take the lid off to drink, you can't put it down on the desk because you don't want to put it down that way, right? Because that would be unhygienic, and also the bottom has got condensation on it.
That's definitely right.
You can't turn it over because obviously there's a cat head on it, and it gets wobbly. Bet this is what everybody thought they were coming in. Click on a podcast that says Game of the Year 2020, and I'm reviewing a mug I bought on Etsy.
Look at my lights, people. I got my lights.
His lights are fantastic. His shirt's pretty cool too, I'm not gonna lie. I like his shirt, it's cool. I wanted to wear my Bloodborne one because then like the implicit implication of me wearing a Bloodborne t-shirt would be that actually Game of the Year is secretly Bloodborne. But
that is true, especially as we're going off Jeff Keighley's rules. So anything's Game of the Year. So basically, God of War has probably been Game of the Year for the last few years now.
Well,
or Disco Elysium has been Game of the Year for the last few years now. Or Celeste or Dead Cells. Dragon Age Inquisition and everything.
Whatever you feel like. It, again, if you have an opinion, and it can't be wrong.
It cannot be wrong.
Unless you're an idiot. Who writes shitty comments on YouTube videos on Christmas Day. I mean, thanks for the engagement, but Christmas Day, really? I just felt bad.
Did they say Merry Christmas at the end?
No.
Screw them.
I just felt bad for them. It was like, on Christmas Day?
They obviously got cold for Christmas, so they went, I'm angry now, so I got some words to say.
Wow. I've left a very stereotypical lipstick imprint on the side of my cup there.
Very good, very good. It tells us that it's your cup, Amy.
Yeah.
And we know what side to drink from. Not drink from.
Now I'm going to have to wash it.
Yes, you will have to do that, Amy. Sometimes you do have to do that after you drink out of a cup.
Boo, my review of this mug has just gone down. I need a self-cleaning mug.
I thought this was self-cleaning. Why?
It should be. Should we talk about some games? Because this is going to be a long podcast. We probably shouldn't ramble.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we got 40. Well, give or take. I'm sure we flip-flopped a little bit.
If I've counted the video footage that I've got prepared for this episode, we have 32 different games.
Sweet. So we got 32 games. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So
because it's Game of the Year 2020. Some people would say, why are you doing this Game of the Year in January? And I would say, shut up, fool. Who does Game of the Year?
Because we do it right. Let's just say this. We do it right compared to Jeff Flippin' Keighley. I respect and love that dude. But my goodness, move it to January, for God's sake, Jeff. Do it.
Like, 3 of the games in my top 20, I only played during the break. In fact, 4. Yeah, 4 of them are brand new. Never talked about before on this podcast.
3 of them I had never played. 1 we had talked about, but I hadn't played until the Christmas period, and 2 others I hadn't played yet. So yeah, no 4. Yeah, I forgot about another one.
I got 4. I got 4. I squeezed another one at the last minute. On like Friday night, I was like, I have a time, and I was like, I really wanted to play one of the games because I want to like finish it and like play it. But then I was like, I've got a few hours. What if I just played another game? Like another new game, just to try it. And if it's a Godfall situation, where I tried Godfall on my PS5, and I played it for 45 minutes, and I fell asleep, then that's fine. At least I've tried it.
It's fine.
But it wasn't a Godfall situation, and it ended up in my Game of the Year list. So we both got a top 20. I've seen yours. You've seen most of mine, because I'm literally deciding on
4. You've hit 4.
I'm literally deciding on the order of the top 4 when I get to the top 4, because I can't decide. Like, there's nothing in it between these 4 games.
Wow. Well, let's just state this for a fact. We do have different opinions when it comes to 2019. When it comes to game, I think personally it was not the greatest year. You think differently. That's fine. But we both have agreed that 2020 has been a fantastic year for games.
2020's been a banger. Like,
yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through. Like, Moody's gonna do his number 20, and then I'm gonna do my number 20, and then 19, 18, and we're just gonna climb up until we get to number 1. If we've got any honorable mentions, because normally I do a top 30, so I do actually have 10 honorable mentions that I'm just going to do really quickly in no specific order. And if you've got
let you go first then for your honorable mentions. Get those out the way first. I have no honorable mentions.
Also, on a normal review podcast, I have to change the scene and load the video maybe 3 or 4 times, whereas this podcast, I have to do it 40. So if you're watching on YouTube and something goes wrong with some of the video footage, I'm sorry. But I'm having to actually produce the show quite significantly while also being on the show. So if something goes wrong, this is the podcast where it's going to go wrong. I was up till like quite late last night doing all of the B-rolls. No one should feel sorry for me for that, because I definitely left it till the last minute. Like, I definitely should have done it way sooner than I actually did. I started it like really late because I played and finished Bloodborne twice over Christmas break.
You gotta do what you gotta do, Amy.
You gotta do what you gotta do in this crazy world that we live in. So I'm going to start off with my honorable mentions. This is like my 21 to 30, but it's in no real order. Like, I didn't bother ordering it properly because I was like, there's no point. So my honorable mentions. The first one is Doom Eternal, because people think I hated that game, and it was just that I really enjoyed it, and the parts that were disappointing were made worse because I really loved the shooting in that game.
Yeah.
So, like, it wasn't that I hated it. I really loved it. It's just I didn't like platforming. But it's a really great game. It's on Game Pass. You should check it out.
It is a weird one when it comes to Doom Eternal. I know we want to get through this fast, but yeah, Doom Eternal is kind of like a weird one because everyone, and even myself, and I think you said yourself, like when it came to the Game Awards, we were all like, Doom Eternal seems out of place for Game of the Year. But when you look back on it, it got a lot of good reviews. It got a lot of high scores. And it's just like, I think it's just like it came out. Obviously, it came out. We all know it came out the same time as Animal Crossing. And Animal Crossing basically became a marathon monster. And Doom sadly did kind of go pay me fart in a hurricane type of thing. But
it did,
even though it didn't work for me overall, the gameplay mechanics are fabulous. No one can fault that for that, and it's visually stunning.
It is. It looks like a heavy metal album cover, but like the whole game does.
Yeah. And no, I can't say nothing wrong about the soundtrack. I'll say
the
that.
Soundtrack. Oh god, I used the soundtrack in a video, the Apex Legends highlights video that we put out on YouTube.
Yeah.
I used the song from Doom Eternal, and like I listened to that soundtrack on the Spotify. Like, well, not on Spotify. 'Cause it's not on Spotify. It's on YouTube. Listen to Bloodborne on Spotify. What else have I got? The next one is Wintermoor Tactics Club, which I like. That's how good a year it's been, because I always assumed that game would be in my top 20, and it was until the very last, like, sort of look through my list, put everything in order, run through like the list, and I was like, oh, it's not. It's a really cool game. It's really wholesome. It's a fun tactics game. It's got a really heartfelt story, and I really appreciated it. And I played it in the middle of the pandemic when all hope was lost, and I feared I would never see another human being ever again. And that might have played some part in.
Well, let's be honest. All hope is still lost.
All hope is lost, but you know, I've seen other humans. I saw other human beings today. It's great.
Yes, we did. Yes. So did I.
Monster Prom 2 Monster Camp. This would probably be higher if I played it more, but I didn't play very much of it.
That's why I didn't really give it any honorable mention, because I only played it once with you and Amy, you and Keith, and I had a fabulous time. It was so adorable. The artwork is so beautiful, and it's such a really fun game. I would recommend definitely go and check it out. But sadly, for me, I just didn't get a chance to play enough of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was one of those games where it was like it was really easy to arrange an Among Us game with 10 people, but for some reason, coordinating the 3 people I know who have Monster Prom 2 to play Monster Prom 2 together was more difficult. Go figure. But it's still a great game. It's so funny, and the artwork's so good. And if you like Monster Prom, it's brilliant. I've already convinced one person over the Christmas break to buy it and play it with us. So
Fabulous.
I'm doing the Lord's work.
I will. Do I have it? I think I have it installed.
It's not a massive installation. Through the Darkest of Times is my next honorable mention. For some reason, it's a strategy game about the rise of Hitler and the Nazi Party in the 1930s is incredibly prescient to modern day, and it shouldn't be, but it is. It's a really educational and informative game, but it's also a really good game. Like, just in terms of like drilling through because you can, if you want to learn about the rise of Adolf Hitler to power in Germany in the 1930s, you know, you can just read a book. But it really drills into sort of telling more personal stories about it. So you like the stories are centered around people, right, and how this happened, not just necessarily the events that took place. And it's really cool. And also, it's a really fun strategy game where you run around and you do propaganda and put posters up and try not to get killed by Nazis.
So you do what Hitler did, basically, but try and use it for good.
Yeah, you're basically the resistance, essentially.
Ethics propaganda. Don't you know this, ladies and gentlemen? Go on Twitter.
It's just like being around in 2020 and watching the rise of fascism all around us. In real life, which is great because they boiled it down into a video game. You can see the lipstick on the inner rim of the mug now.
You can, yes, you can. It's not self-washing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's not old. It's not old. I got Superliminal as another shout out / honorable mention. We did talk about this on the podcast. It's a really awesome puzzle game that forces you to look at things. Not forces you, coaxes you, like trains you, teaches you to look at things in a different perspective. Like, because the whole game, its puzzles are about perspective and perspective shifts. And it's one of the best puzzle games I've played in a long time, but partially because I've played many puzzle games. They always make me feel dumb. But Superliminal made me feel really smart.
Sweet.
Spider-Man Miles Morales is a shout out for me as well.
I'm surprised that's an honorable mention. You did you give it a lot of praise.
I did, and I stand by all of the praise I gave it.
Oh yeah, I don't deny what you're saying there. No doubt about it. It's a fabulous game. But I did think it might hit you. I was thinking it might hit your top 20, but like I say, this year has been. Whew.
This year has been full of bangers. But yeah, it's a solid. Absolutely love the story. Love the gameplay. Like, it's more Spider-Man. Can't fault it for that. Spider-Man was amazing. I platinumed it. Like, I love the characters. Needed to see more of Miles's mother, but apart from that, like, I can't really criticize the story or the gameplay all that much. I mean, if you want to hear my full thoughts on it, there's a podcast where I talked about them. I also love the fact that I played it on PS5 and never saw a single loading screen, so the whole game was completely seamless. Like, and I factor that into how much I love the experience of playing it.
Sony, can you please send more PlayStation 5s to the UK? I kind of want one.
I am so looking forward to more PS5 games doing that, where it's just like completely seamless game from start to finish. I also have Necro Barista, which is a really funny, really cute, and also really poignant visual novel. It's about death. A lot of the games on this list are about death. I feel like a lot of games in 2020 were about death in one way or another. But it's really cool. It's a funny game. And it looks beautiful, and the characters are really, really endearing, and really funny, and it's really sarcastic, which is probably why I jacked with it as much as I did. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is another honorable mention for me. Beautiful, stunning game that made me cry at the end, out of frustration because there was a really hard difficulty spike. But then when I got to the end of the story, it made me cry out of sadness because it's a very bittersweet game. Which I would expect nothing less, having played the original. Love the platform.
That game did have a problem that locked you in on the difficulty you set it at. Didn't give you the chance to change it up or anything like that, which I think that I did hear the common recurrence of disappointment for a lot of people, thinking, okay, this is a little hard, but I wanted to lower it just for this boss, then put it back up after I've got past this boss because this boss has been a pain in the ass type of thing. But obviously, I don't know if they've added that in. So.
I have no idea. I haven't gone back to it. Like, I was so close to the end. Like, when I bounced, I was literally like 30 minutes from the end, so I just watched the end on YouTube. Like, and called it a day. Because I was like, I could just do this. It's fine.
I can pretend I'm playing it.
Well, because then I watched the last boss, and I was like, if I hadn't have bounced at the moment that I did, I definitely would have bounced out of that last boss. Yeah, there was some stuff in there. But honestly, like, I don't want it to take away from the fact that it's a fantastic game. NHL 21 is a shout out because I got to live my dream of being a hockey player and beating people up and shooting the puck with the stick into the goal. That's a thing in hockey. You beat people up. It's great. None of this pussyfooting around like in British sports. Like, you can genuinely like destroy someone, and it's like, it's fine. Keep playing.
You have murdered this man, but it's okay. It's only a yellow card. What, Ref? Come on, see, he's getting up.
He's getting up. No, that's just the gases escaping his lifeless corpse.
No, that's the MPs picking him up.
It's a great game. Like it's weird for me because obviously I've been out of the game for years. I haven't played an NHL game for ages, so it's like, I don't know what the incremental experience is like, but hey, I picked it up, I played it. Hockey's great. I can't wait for it to come back. And my last honorable mention / shout out is Amnesia Rebirth because it was a really good story. Like, I was worried they were going to do Amnesia again, like with Amnesia Rebirth, because although it's had a sequel before, this is the first sequel by the original development studio. And I was worried they were just going to try and do Amnesia: The Dark Descent again, and they didn't. And I think that's why I love the game the way that I did, because, like, Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of the scariest games I've ever made. Like, don't try and do that again, because if you do, horror's not as good the second time around. But they didn't. They did it. It was a completely different feel. It was very creepy. There weren't as many moments of genuine terror, but they were replaced by a really, really solid story with a really cool protagonist.
Fabulous. I have got this game, but I just didn't get around to playing it.
That's fair. Like, yeah, like Hyrule Warriors and Demon Souls are on their way, but I haven't played them, so they're not on this list. But they could have been if they'd arrived in time.
If the mail was good.
Instead, I got Godfall, and that is nowhere near this list.
Oh.
Or
good. Is it, ladies and gentlemen? Is she trying to swerve us?
Let me tell you, there are probably ideal conditions for playing Godfall to where you can like maximize your enjoyment from it. Playing it immediately after playing Bloodborne, one of the most deliberate and like great feeling third-person action games of the PlayStation 4 generation, is not optimal. I feel like that just highlights all of its flaws even more.
Oh god. My. Some fabulous games you're talking about there, Amy. Fabulous games. I'd say it's been a banger of a year.
Not even on the list yet.
I know. What else could be on there?
I get to talk about games I like more than that?
I know. I know. Me? No?
Yeah. Do it.
My number 20 for me, ladies and gentlemen, and it would be higher if only I had chance to play a little bit more of it, and that is Yakuza Like a Dragon. This game where it's my first Yakuza game, a role-playing game, first Yakuza role-playing game, and I've always heard that Yakuza, they are brilliant, but it's a lot of meat in this Yakuza games, and this is the same for this one as well. I have had a lot of fun with it. Ichiban, the character who you play as, is absolutely amazing. He is endearing, and you just love his sense of good and right and wrong and all like that. He just has it. So it's basically black and white when it comes to him. He doesn't have a middle ground, to what I could tell so far. And it's been really, really good. He's very confused throughout to what I've played so far, but he's doing it in such a great and endearing way, and I've loved what I've played so far for this. So yeah, Yakuza, hopefully I'd be able to report back and say this would go higher in the future, but until then I can't comment on it.
Wait, you mean you say that your opinion might change that like as time goes on?
What? Maybe it might actually leave the top 20. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to do that.
Well,
you've seen most of my list. There's only one direction that game's going to go the more you play it.
Probably.
But I will refrain from talking about Yakuza Like a Dragon until such time as it is relevant for me to talk about it. Because my number 20 isn't Yakuza Like a Dragon. That'd be weird. But my number 20 is a big surprise, even for me. It's Astro's Playroom. Like that free game you get with the PS5?
Yep.
That packing game?
Yep.
Like, one of my games of the year. Like, sat down to think about it, and I was putting this list in order, and I've got a list of, like, running list, you've seen it, of all the games I've played. So I was, like, ordering it, and I was like, Astro's Playroom went in, and then it was like, it wasn't going down very far. Like, as I was ordering this list, and I was like, oh, it's actually in my top 20. It's great. It's adorable. As someone who is a PlayStation fan, like, and got a ton of the reference, because essentially it's a love letter to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, all of the different generations, all of the different games, like, all of the things you collect are all, like, PlayStation accessories or peripherals, like the fucking multi-tap. Like, if you remember the multi-tap? And I'm not talking, like, the little PS2 one. The big fucking boomerang-looking one from, like, the PS1. Like, wow. Yeah. And it was just a really good platformer, and it made use of the PS5 controller really well, to the point where it made it feel like I think it might have been the only thing I played on the PS5 which felt next gen, because of how it used the controller, like, and how because that's what it's for. It's essentially a demo for your controller, but it's also a really cute platformer that references PlayStation every 25 seconds.
A demo that becomes the top game of the year in contender. A game that was completely just like, all right, that looks cute.
Oh, cool.
I'll give it a go.
Oh, cool. I've got a game on my PlayStation to play while all of the other games that I actually want to play are downloading. Oh, wait, hang on. I'm still playing this. Like, other games have finished downloading and I'm still playing it. Oh, my God. What's happening? Oh, my God. I'm going to finish it? Oh, my God. I might platinum it? Like,
yeah. What is going on here? I'm enjoying this. Why?
Enjoying this a lot. Oh, God. Yeah. I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, I can't wait. Like I say, when I get a PlayStation 5, whenever the PlayStation want to release some over into UK again, to give this a go, and I am really intrigued because everybody I've spoken to literally saying this is so cute and adorable, and it's just fun, and it's an homage to PlayStation, which is just fabulous to see. And yeah, it's like, god damn it, they swindled us. They swindled you all, ladies and gentlemen. They swindled you all because I bet no one had it in their game of the year, not game of the predictions or anything. Well, I won't lie, I don't think we knew
No,
about
I
the
was going to
game.
say, we only found out about it in June. But yeah, I get
but
what
no
you're
one
talking
has
about.
it in their fantasy critics or anything like that. So.
Nobody watched the PlayStation 5 reveal and all of the games and went, Astro's Playroom, that's going to be a Game of the Year contender.
That is true. That is true. But for me, ladies and gentlemen, for number 19 is Neon Abyss, a frantic roguelike action platformer. This was just fun. I just kept playing constantly when I was over my partner's work while she was working, and I was in the room just playing away with amazing internet speed. Like I didn't want to leave when I saw games downloading so fast. But oh yeah, I played this and I was just like, what time is it? Oh my god, I've played this for 5 hours. Oh my god. And it was just like, and it was infuriating because that's a roguelike game, ladies and gentlemen. The roguelike games are infuriating, and it was so much fun. The uniqueness of how you became more powerful and the tactics that you needed to use or where you could find it, everything was just so fun, so good. It was colorful. It was brilliant. The soundtrack is just so fun. I had a lot of fun with this game. It was just non-stop bonkersness, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was a really fun game. I like the fact that because like it's a roguelike where you pick up all the stuff, but you just add on top of each other. You add the power ups on top of each other per run. So the game doesn't care if you get OP. Like, in fact, that's how I beat most of the bosses in that game. I was I just became OP, but then like it can backfire where it's like you get one of those orbs that float around you, and then you fire rockets, and it's like, hang on, the rocket can hit the orb and blow me up. Which was a harsh lesson I learned on.
You're like, oh no,
oh no!
This was the moment when she knew she fucked up.
Pretty much, I ended up like stopping collecting. I just stopped collecting eggs, like so that would never happen.
Like, no, stay there, go away, don't come near me. Stay.
It's a great
stay
or
I'll scramble you.
It is a great fun game.
Yeah,
that I did appreciate a lot, and it was on Game Pass. I don't know if it still is. I think it is.
Like, I think so. I think it is. Yes.
I remember being a surprise, like, oh, I can download this. I will, and then I did. And then I played a shit ton of it, and I streamed some of it, and then you went, "This looks fun," and then you played it, and
yeah,
and we both had a good time.
Like, that's the thing about it, because I'm very hit and miss when it comes to roguelikes. Like, because I played one before, Shadowbringer, I think it was, or Scourgebringer, and that one just didn't click for me whatsoever. But this one really did, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens more for next year for roguelites. I'm intrigued.
Me too. I just realized I haven't been shown gameplay footage.
Well, you have to do some editing, then, Amy.
No, I'm not going to do that.
No, there's no point in showing any gameplay then, at all.
No, I'm going to start now.
Oh.
It's fine. I for some reason just showed like a split second of the last game we talked about on the last podcast last year, which was Spider-Man Miles Morales. So technically, it was relevant. It's just not for the thing you were talking about, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
So my number 19 isn't Neon Abyss. It's Across the Grooves, which was the visual novel of I think the studio's from France. And it's a visual novel about a woman who gets a record, and she listens to the record and is like transported in her mind back in time to a pivotal moment from her life, does something different, and then realizes she's just changed history. Like, and from there you have to sort of figure out the record, like what the record is, like how that happened, and like it's just really cool. It's a really cool story. It's like 3 or 4 hours long, and you travel around Europe and do this stuff, and like the choices that you make, like throughout the story, they affect the ending, of course, because it's visual novel. It would be weird if it had like one ending. But you can affect like the dialogue options and the way the character looks and dresses and like basically you're affecting her personality via sort of how you view the past versus like how you want to act in the future and stuff like that. It's a really, really cool, interesting, fun. Nope, that's still Spider-Man somehow. That's not Across the Grooves. I told you this was going to go wrong.
No,
it's a really good game, but
yeah,
that is Across the Grooves. I told you I've got to do this 40 times. All right, it's not. We'll get into a groove with it. Should have just not done this, but I committed to doing all of the B-rolls, so now I'm committed to showing you the fruits of my labor.
Do it.
So that's happening. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really fun. The art style's really, really nice. Like it's like so it's almost like a watercolor effect type art, like I want to say watercolor art style, but like painting, like that kind of thing. And the music's great, which it's a game about music in a lot of ways. So you'd hope that the music was good. The music is good. You can change the lyrics of the songs, like as they're playing, like like depending on like choices that you make, which I thought was really neat. And like as someone who is a fan of a certain type of music, like older music, like a music history, like there's a lot of stuff about like that in the game as well. So it was cool, like to see that, and like it has such a reverence for musical history, and I also have that reference for that musical history, so that was fun. And I really enjoyed it. That's why it's my number 19.
Fabulous. Very good.
Now I'm actually gonna do this properly this time. I might just make it a running joke where just Spider-Man keeps popping up every so often.
Number 18 for me, ladies and gentlemen, is Kato. Kato?
It is Kato, as in cartographer.
Kato. This is a... I'll just say this right now.
I think expecting Spider-Man to pop up there. But it didn't. It's fine.
Stop ruining it. I'll just say this right now. I think this is probably the cutest game this year. It is absolutely adorable. The gameplay is absolutely very intriguing and unique, where you collect papers basically to create the world, to move about it, to solve certain mysteries, to bring people together, and etc., and move your way to the end of the game, etc. The story is just very, very light-hearted, but also gets some emotional beats as well for it, and I really, really enjoyed this game. Came out of nowhere for me. I had no idea about it. You mentioned it on the podcast for us one time, and then I think both of us played it, didn't we, for the same episode? And yeah, we both basically agreed that this was a really well done game with some really very unique gameplay mechanics, and I had a lot of fun with this game.
It was one of those rare moments in 2020 where we were both playing the same game at the same time. Like, and we were messaging each other backwards and forwards about it. Like, I remember. That was really cool. Like, it was just a nice game. Like, the puzzles were really cool and they were really interesting and they made you think, but like, it was just nice. And I feel like that is, that may be an underappreciated quality for a game in 2020, where it was like, we needed a lot of nice things in 2020.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit.
So like so like when Kato comes out and it's just nice, the characters are nice, the story's nice, like the world is nice for the most part. Like,
you can't ask for much more than that. Like the shittiness that was 2020, you can only imagine the shittiness what's 2021 going to be. So I made the joke out there.
I made the incredibly unpopular joke on Twitter that it's just New Game Plus.
Oh, it is.
Nobody liked that.
Yeah.
But was I wrong?
You're not at all. Kato, cute game, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it's still on Game Pass. So go and give it a try.
That's where I played it.
Yeah.
So I think, wow, is it like half the games we've talked about are free? Like either on Game Pass or packed in with a PlayStation.
Kato and Neo are based on both Game Pass. And
and Astros.
Astro is a free game.
This
quote-unquote free game because you have to buy the console.
You have to buy the console, but yeah.
It's arguably the most expensive game.
You're not wrong. Also, I'm liking how much our lists are trending towards indie games. Because we've both mentioned indies. Like mine, number 18. Lair of the Clockwork God. Which I did not... OBS did that thing where everything went black. But it's done it at a really awkward time where I was just about to switch the video over, which is great. But yeah, Lair of the Clockwork God, it was one of those games that I played during the Christmas break. And it's really good. It's really good. So I didn't do a podcast or a review on it, so I'll do it now. And then we'll stop the podcast and start it up again because I all of the bars have disappeared because OBS is a piece of crap. That does not make my Game of the Year list. It's a terrible garbage piece of software that never works properly. But Lair of the Clockwork God is really good. It's a 2D platformer, but it's also a point-and-click game, like adventure game. So they got the two characters. One of them is a platformer, and one of them is an adventure guy, and they work together, and you switch between them. And like the platformer does the platformer stuff, and the adventure guy like talks to people and interacts with things, and combines things in his inventory, like classic 90s adventure gaming. But then the platformer guy is like, no, if you want us to be relevant, you have to call it crafting.
You have to be relevant, don't you know that?
And it's that kind of game. Like there's like in terms of like jokes and stuff and like its humor, it's very much like a sitcom in that it just throws so many jokes at you so quickly. And they mostly stick. Like they mostly are really funny. Like, and it is a really funny game, but like the mishmash of being a platformer and a adventure game like shouldn't work, but it does. It just does. There's like a sequence early on in the game where the two characters are separated. So one of them is in what is basically Sonic. Like the platform is basically in Sonic Green Hill Zone. And then the other one is in like the died because they refuse to jump. Like to the point where it's like there's a moment where there's a tiny step and they just won't step over it and they're just like, well,
no, I'm not doing it. No, you can't make me.
Which is a joke that works on so many levels.
It does right now, yeah, it does.
But the you on the one hand you're in this respawning zone where you've got to solve all these puzzles and walk around and talk to people, and it's really slow paced and like an adventure game kind of thing. You're exploring, you're figuring out like how to which items to combine, where to use items, and talking to people. But like you keep switching backwards and like every now and again the adventure character will be like, hey, I wonder how Ben's getting on in the platforming world. So you go from this really quiet, sort of slow paced, sedate gameplay, and then you switch to the platforming section and it's just like bright and colorful and fast moving, and the music's really loud and he's just running and jumping and platforming, and then you switch back and it's back to the quiet, and it works. It works. It's great. Like, it is fucking great. Like, if you get a chance to play it, play it. It's my number 18. Like, all of the games this year for Game of the Year are, like, incredibly good. Like, and the order of this list feels almost arbitrary. Like, they're all excellent Game of the Year games.
That is true. That is true. But I have to disjoint it, Amy. Because
you have to disjoint it, but you have to wait a second because I need to fix OBS, so...
I'm going to start and ruin it from the indies and go straight into a AAA game, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure for a lot of people, this is higher on the list, but that's Final Fantasy VII Remake. The remake of the 1997 game from PlayStation, which is exclusive on PlayStation until after next year, basically. But if you have played the original, the story is like the Midgard part of that story, but they have expanded on it. They threw in a couple of... side quests and everything, and expanded on story parts for characters who were literally nothing in the original game, like Jesse and everything, and they do a really, really good job on that. This game is overbloated for me. I tried to go back to it over Christmas, and I was just like, I can't. I couldn't. So that's why it's not as high for me. I know a lot of people love this game. A friend of ours it's his game of the year. He absolutely adored it, which I'm so happy to hear for that. But yeah, I am excited to see what they do for the sequel, whenever that is, in 10, 20 years time or something like that for the
back
part
here
2
during the next apocalypse.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But no, I did have fun with this. I thought the gameplay was really well done. I think it is just overly bloated, personally. But it's still a great game. Go and give it a try, ladies and gentlemen. Final Fantasy VII has deserved all its plaudits for me. But yeah, it just didn't go overall click for me.
Well, I mean, now that you said your piece on Final Fantasy VII, imagine if I just plot twisted right now and said it's not on my list. Oh. But no, I will discuss.
We know
Final
it's on your
Fantasy
list.
Yeah, it's on my list. I was talking to Avril, who's Elf Daughter, for anyone who's watched us play Among Us, in a stream the other night, and she was like, "I can't wait for your Game of the Year list to see what games are on it." And I was like, and she went, "I think you could guess what your Game of the Year is." And I went, "Okay, go for it." Like, I don't even know what my Game of the Year is, so this should be enlightening. And she guessed Bloodborne, and I was like, I mean, 5 years ago, sure.
Well, but going off Jeff Keighley rules, hear me? And you've completed it
twice in the last 2 weeks.
You're a monster, sweetheart.
I am, but it's all in service of content.
That is true.
Talk more about that on the Words About Games podcast on Friday. My number 17, unlike Moody, I'm not betraying the faith. I'm sticking with indie games. I'm going to talk about Kentucky Route Zero, a game, an episodic game, the longest running episodic game ever. The first episode came out in 2013. I think the second episode also came out in 2013. And then the remaining 3 episodes came out over the course of the next 7 years.
Wow. So I can play this now, yeah?
It's finished. It's finished. Cool. It came out like January, which was great for me because I legitimately started playing it in 2013. Like, I bought it new, thinking it's an episodic game like Walking Dead. Oh, cool! Then it'll be out within a year.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's great. It's such a cool. It's weird as fuck. Like the footage right now, you're in the office building, and it's like 3rd floor bears, and you go to the 3rd floor, and there's just bears, like just hanging out, and you just walk around them. There's no reason for them. Like there's no reason for a lot of things in this game. It's a surrealist magical adventure, I believe it's called, but it's also a really really cool surrealist magical adventure. The story's really good. The places that it goes, the places that it takes you. One of the cool things about being a surrealist game is that you're not limited in any way. You can tell a story exactly how you want to tell a story. If there are bears on the 3rd floor of your office building, cool. There are bears on the 3rd floor of your office building. It's surrealist. Just go with it.
Just go for it.
Like there's so much weird cool stuff in the game. Like there's things that I remember because I didn't start the game new when the final episode dropped in January, but I could still remember like the first episode that I played 7 years ago. Like I can still remember stuff from it. Like you going through the mines and the light starts going out and you can see like the miners, the ghosts of the miners. It's really weird. Like flashing in and out of view and stuff, and it's really spooky. And that happened to me 7 years ago, and I carried that with me all the way to 2020 and probably beyond. And yeah, I highly recommend you go check it out. It's a really deep, engaging story, and it's really weird. And again, there are bears on the 3rd floor for no reason. Like that's the kind of experience you're letting yourself in for. Like,
sweet.
It's strange, but you know me and strange games. Fucking love
Yes, you go like bread and butter, basically. That's
them.
how you how good. Well, if it's just the stranger, the better to Amy. It's like, oh,
It's like, ooh,
this shiny AAA game.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like a standard AAA 40-hour open world, sneaky, combat-y, collect the treasure, map, climb the tower, bollocks. Get you damn alright. I'll play this game where there's bears on the third floor of the office. Thanks.
Randomly.
For no reason.
Number 16 for me is a game I did not know anything about until Amy told me about it and I saw her review for it.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, no, you do that. Legends of Runeterra. Choose your champion, make your move, be a legendary in the League of Legends strategy card game. Yes, strategy card game hits my top 20. I enjoy strategy card games. I am a old school fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Red Eyes Black Dragon for the win, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like
Best
we were just
card
talking
out there.
about that.
I think we were, yes. And this just brought me back to like how it was for like playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the game that I had for it on my PlayStation. And I just love this. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the cards. I enjoyed the battle part, and just the explosions, the whole excitement and strategy of it. It has got a steep learning curve. I'll say that. But when you get it and you find that right deck for you, it can really pay off in some really cool and have some really good battles as well. Yeah, a lot of fun. It's if I remember right, it's free.
It's free. It's free to play.
All you have to do is just sign up with them, and you're done.
Fun fact: I have no footage of me winning. Legends of Runeterra. I won plenty of matches. I just have no footage of it. But it's Spider Queen, right? That was my deck, Spider Queen. Like, you have loads of spiders, and those spiders make more spiders, and then those spiders make more spiders, and then the next thing you know, you're covered in spiders. And that was how I had fun. And unlike other card games I've played in the recent past, like in EU Elder Scrolls Legends, like there wasn't a moment where I had to stop because I needed to spend money to get more out of the game. Like, I could boot up Legends of Runeterra at any moment and play it and have fun. Like, go figure. Like, almost like that's an important feature of a game.
It could be, yes, it could be.
But I really liked Legends of Runeterra. It didn't make my list, but it was an enjoyable card game. I like card games. I used to play Magic the Gathering, like, in real life. So I'm just making sure I'm not putting on another clip of Spider-Man. At some point, I think I have to, but my number 16, because that's where we're up to, is Dreams.
I think this might be the surprise of the year for you.
I don't think it is. I thought it was going to be amazing. I just didn't think many people were going to buy it. Oh, look, I'm right. But like Dreams itself is phenomenal. Like, even if you just pick the game up on sale and played the campaign that comes with it, that like Media Molecule made with the Dreams engine, I don't know if they've got a proper name for it. Like, it's still a really, really good experience. Like, the campaign is fantastic. It's like it shows off a bunch of different things you can do in Dreams. So like it's a bunch of different gameplay styles. There's like an action platformer and a pure platformer, and there's an adventure game, and then there's driving sections, and there's like all sorts of different things in. I just died in the footage. Why did I keep this footage? And there's all that. Then there's all sorts of different sort of like gameplay styles just in that campaign, and then the story is actually really, really good. And it's really emotional. And Media Molecule didn't necessarily need to do that, but they did it anyway, which is great. But then you go into the Dreamiverse, and you play things people have made, and I'll be the first to admit I still need to get back to this. I haven't played it for a while. Like, so I can only imagine what's in there now, because the things I was playing when I was playing the game when it came out, like, were really, really cool. Like, the things people had managed to put together, like, I guess, like, it was in early access for, like, 10 months or something. before it came out, so like it had some content going in, but like there's really high quality stuff in there in this game. Like I used to remember some of the stuff. There was this really good demo for a 3D platformer someone was making. Like that was like incredible. Like it was a huge thing, and like you'd jump around and collect all the stuff, and it was great. I loved it. Like I really wanted to play more of it, and now that I think about it, maybe it's finished by now.
Might be.
And then there was other stuff, like there was like simple stuff where it's like it was like a top down circuit thing where it's like the car was running around the circuit and you just have to guide it around the circuit, but you can only turn left. Like so, like you can't like you can't like correct if you've overturned or something like that. It's like there's all sorts of different cool experiences in Dreams, and that was 6 months ago the last time I played it. And I was blown away by some of the cool stuff in there. And I'm gonna get back into it at some point because I really want to keep seeing it. Like I hope it's like this. I hope it's a game that has like it has a dedicated community, and I hope it keeps having a dedicated community. It's like a slow burning game.
Yeah,
it'd be great if they just put it in PS Plus to just like draw people in. Like
I'm amazed they haven't yet. You got to think that might be on their cards eventually.
Yeah. Even if it's just like, even if the only part, like even that they give away the playing part for free, so you can play stuff, and then if you want to create stuff, you buy the game, or vice versa, and probably not vice versa. That would be weird. But it's such a great game. It's definitely one of my favorite games of the year. And I look forward to like playing on and seeing everything that people make. It's not even like, it's like, you know, when you talk about like future content, like how many live service games have I played and discarded in 2020? Like, and just been like, no, God, no. Like, even like with future content coming out, it's just like, no, definitely not. And then it's like Dreams. The developers aren't making content for Dreams. People are making content for Dreams, and I'm more excited about that than I am about, say, Avengers or Godfall.
You have to be.
And that's awesome. I love that.
That is fabulous, no doubt about it. Next game for me, which is number 15. 15, that is Return One-Way Trip. A 2D side-scrolling puzzle adventure horror game. Trapped in a ghostly train you are. It's a very colourful, dynamic little game with some beautiful little puzzles that just can trip you up if you don't read and pay attention to certain things for it. It's a nice little story. It has a couple of different endings, so you can get to change things up for you. I think I got like one of the middle bad endings, I think, because spoilers, I'm the only one who survived on my first game through.
Well, you're the only survivor, but that wasn't the worst ending.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it might be the worst ending.
Worst ending, I guess you are dead as well. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, so but no, yeah, it was, I really enjoyed it. It had some really creepy moments where I literally, some of the sounds they put in this game was really, really good. That made me go, oh God, no. Oh, and having these amazing headphones really hurt, really scared the crap out of me. But no, yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's on sale right now, ladies and gentlemen, on Steam. It's not that much, so definitely go give it a try. Return One-Way Trip, a beautiful little game.
Played a blinder with Return because this is a game I recommended for you and then didn't play.
I know. I played it. I told you I played it. I told you I had a lot of fun with it, and you still didn't play it.
I meant to, and then I never did.
I forgive you.
Thank you. That's nice.
I hope you smelled the bullshit I was in there.
I didn't. I just took it at face value.
Okay.
Because, you know what, Moody? I appreciate and love you.
Oh, bless you.
There you go. I turned your bullshit into a really nice, sincere moment. So fuck you. My number 15. Pause for dramatic effect. I don't know why I'm pausing for dramatic effect at number 15. Like, number 1, pause for dramatic effect. Number 15. Number 15 is Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. I was waiting for this game for an entire year, being like, I fucking love the concept of this game so much. It looks incredible, and I got to play it. I got to beta test it. No, not beta test it. It wasn't a beta test. It was basically it was basically Devolver giving up free advertising by giving it to everyone on Twitch by the looks of it. But you know what? It was fucking great. I really enjoyed everything I play. Like, even when I played levels I didn't like, I was still really enjoying Fall Guys. Like, and I played it a bit by myself. I played it a bit with Moody, and then Moody betrayed me and got it on a different platform, and now we can't play it together anymore.
I have offered to buy you it.
I mean, shut up. You're ruining my point. Like, but it's so much fun. Like, that's all the game is. It's fun, but like you fuck around and you run into people and you do whatever ridiculous challenges put in front of you, and you pray you never get put on yellow team. But and I do love the fact that my one and only win came came in with top 10 anime betrayals of me betraying Moody at the very last minute in the second to last round and then going on to win. Like, Moody was so mad until I got that crown.
Yes, that is true. That is true. She redeemed herself by betraying me by getting herself a crown, ladies and gentlemen. So
by literally winning.
I had to forgive her, so I had to allow it.
But it's just great. Like, the Twitter account is fantastic. Go follow it. The game is brilliant. Like, get it. Like, just get it and play it and have fun. It's like Ultimate Knockout is the perfect subtitle for this game because it sounds like one of those weird British TV shows where like Fort Boyard or the ninja one that I don't remember the name of because I don't watch them anymore, but that's the kind of game it is. Like, I'm watching myself get annihilated in Whirligig, and it's just like, I want to play it. I'm watching the footage on the screen that's coming up on the podcast, and I'm literally just like, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it.
I can send you the money right now.
But what'll happen is I'll turn my PS5 on and play Bloodborne.
But you won't be because you'll be downloaded and for the PC.
Man, I'm not a PC gamer. I'm a console peasant. What's your number 14?
Number 14 is a game I know is not on your list whatsoever, but it had to go on the list for me because I had a ball with this and I just played it so much when it first came out, and that is Resident Evil 3. There are problems with this game. There is no doubt about it. The story is sadly a little bit it's been pecked dry, basically. Let's just be frank here. They took out a lot of things, and there's a couple of things that you just question a lot about it, but at the same time, I just love the aspects of that. I speedrun the game like crazy, and I love doing that, and I love the thrill I get from it, and I just constantly played it for that. And I know like this game didn't work for you at all. Like, I saw you play it on stream where you were literally having a meltdown. You had to physically walk away at one point.
I did.
Which I completely understand why you did that. Like, there are problems with this game, but I had a lot of fun with it. Like I say, it is not Resident Evil 2. It's not Resident Evil 7 and all like that. It's not that at all, which is a shame, which we were hoping for it to be. But Nemesis for me, for the first half of the game, he was terrifying, and he was really, really good, I thought. And Jill's amazing, and
Jill is amazing.
She's hot. That's the sweetest. She's hot, ladies and gentlemen, and she kicks ass. When you got a female character who just kicks ass, I gravitate that. Ellen Ripley.
I knew you were going to mention Alien.
Ellen Ripley, Princess Leia, Sarah Connor, Black Widow. Amazing female characters, and she's one of them as well. Like I say, I had a lot of fun with this game. There are problems, but yeah, it's definitely going to give it a try, though.
It's one of your favorite games of the year. Nothing wrong with that. Like, in the spirit of this being a Game of the Year podcast, I'm not going to talk about Resident Evil 3. I made a video about the old Resident Evil 3, which talked a lot about the new Resident Evil 3.
Yes,
if you want
to know,
which is
a fabulous video.
It inspired me to want to do the other two Resident Evils.
Maybe just to get her to do more work, Liz. Maybe she'll put the link in down below for you.
You're already on the channel. Just fucking scroll. You'll find it. It's fine. No, it's...
Oh, put the link down below.
Well, my idea is... I almost brought your list up. That would have been weird. I mean, my idea is like wanting to do the first game and the second game in a similar way, where I talk about the old and the new one. Because obviously both of those games were remade.
That's true.
and I think that'll be fun. God, 32 video files. Why did I decide to do the podcast this way? My number 14, really. I believe it was the last game I talked about in 2020 on our weekly review podcast. It's the Pathless, which I absolutely adored from start to finish. It's a really great game. Like, it's just, the world is beautiful and looks amazing. Like, you have a bow and arrow, but you don't really, just barely do any combat in the game, which is great. Like, the bow and arrow is mostly used to make you run faster, which I know sounds weird. Like, like the old Counter-Strike thing of you run faster with a knife. You're running through and you're sprinting and shooting the targets to give you the speed boost and keep your stamina up. And like, once you start getting into that flow of like exploring the world and just moving really quickly through it, like, and it starts becoming effortless when you're timing the bow shots and hitting the targets, and it speeds you up, and then you do a jump and hit one in midair and jump higher, stuff like that. Like, it feels really great to play. And then you do the puzzles, which are good, but then you do like the boss fights. I guess we call them boss fights, which is just excellent. They just make such good use of all the mechanics that you've been using for like the rest of the game. But the first boss fight, where it's like the big fire dog guy thing that you chase through the field, and you have to avoid all of the fire while also like shooting its weak points. Like, just phenomenal. It just feels so good. Which I guess is where I land on why this is one of my favorite games of the year. It just feels great, like, to play, like, for however long it was. I don't remember. I loved it. I loved it.
Fantastic. Excuse me. Next up is a game we've already talked about, and that's Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. This is pretty much everything what Amy said. It's a fantastic little game, which took the world by storm, just like Animal Crossing did, just like another game I'm sure Amy's going to be talking about further down the line. It's
took
just
the world by storm.
It is just so much fun. That's simple. It does what it's there to do. It can be infuriating. It can be trying. Like, it can be sometimes a friend betrays you, but then you forgive that friend because, like we've already spoken about, she wins, so you accept that betrayal. But I had a lot of fun with this game. Like, I am hoping Amy will buy this on PC so we can get this on the PC, because I am more PC right now for it. But
you know what? All right, fine. Once we've done this podcast, send me the fucking money. I'll buy the fucking game. We play the game. How about that? All right. It's a podcast promise, so you know it's true.
That's true. I will send that over to her. Damn, I knew it. Like, it's how I always do when it comes to the ladies' I wear them down. Ask my partner for 10 years.
Dad, can we go to Splash Mountain? Dad, can we go to Splash Mountain? Dad, can we go to Splash Mountain?
Why does this game not have run mechanics? Why does that game not have run mechanics?
You know what was funny though? I was actually talking about that today with somebody. Because I've got a crazy idea I need to run by you after the podcast.
No. God,
it's crazy for me. It's not crazy for you.
Okay. But yeah, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout is a knockout. Let's just finish with that.
Why didn't I say that? That's amazing. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout is a knockout. Fucking, you let me ramble on for ages, and you had that in your back pocket. Fucking, you just made me look like an idiot. Twice. Yeah, great. Fantastic. Where is it? There it is. My number 13. I'm not even going to pretend to hide it. I'm just transitioning straight into the footage. My number 13, Animal Crossing New Horizons, the game that I played for 150 hours in about 2 months. I don't do that, Moody. I'm not that person that plays hundreds upon hundreds of hours of a game in a short amount of time. Like,
yeah.
I build that up over the course of many, many months and sometimes years. Like... And I just, like, lockdown happened. We were all stuck in our houses. We didn't know when it was going to end. And that very same week lockdown started, Animal Crossing just comes through the post. And I imagine that was a lot of people's experience with Animal Crossing. And it was exactly the game I needed, and I know a lot of other people needed at that exact moment, to just completely lose myself in. Like, I got to appreciate this game in a way that I don't think I would have if I hadn't have had all of that time. Like, I did something I never do in these games. I completely transformed my entire island into what I wanted it to be. Like, I had a park called Tricera Park in the top left-hand corner of my island, and I called it that because I painstakingly found the fossils of a Triceratops. I think it was in like 4 parts, and displayed them at the park. Hence the name Tricera Park. And like, I spent 10 hours terraforming like one small part of my island just to make it look completely right, and then set up like the orchard that I had, because I had the fruits from all of my friends, so I had like all of the different fruits growing on my island. I was rich, which I've never had in these games because I never played them for long enough to be rich. But I had so much.
And then your thing just made me laugh.
I had so much money, I didn't know what to do with it. Like, it's just but like, even without that, it's still a fantastic experience. Like, to just start from this little piddly tent and 2 villagers to like build up like this community, like, and do what you want with it, and it was great. I really appreciated it, and I appreciated it more for the timing.
Yeah, it's that this game sadly didn't work for me. But that's, I think, what's worked. That's what I think one of the things that helped me when it came to 2020, that I don't have time for, if the game can't click with me, I'll just put it down and everything. And this sadly didn't work for me, but I'm so happy that it worked so well for a lot of people. And that's fabulous to hear, like I said.
That is very healthy. I only just learned to do that.
Let me just get my other game up on my end.
That is not a skill that I possessed for a while. Oh, I don't actually. This is the one game I don't have footage for, I think.
Yes, my next one, ladies and gentlemen, number 12. This is a game I played during Christmas, and it's literally 30 minutes long, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why I don't have footage of it.
Yeah, 30 minutes long, ladies and gentlemen, and that is Florence, an interactive story for a video game developed by the, I'll just say the studio, Australian Studio Mountains, and Australian Studio Mountains, and published by Annapurna Interactive. This is 30 minutes long, and it literally just tells the story of, it's a heartfelt experience that lasts around 30 minutes, but deeply meaningful. The character Florence, you see what she wants to become, what she wants, your certain decisions. It's just a clicky game. It's just point and click. That's all you have to do. You just have to do certain things. It looks like, to what I could tell, I haven't researched into it, there are different endings. It looks like it. So I'm very intrigued to actually replaying this again to see things up, because I was just like, no, I'm good. No, you're wrong, mate. I'm telling you right now, you are wrong, type of thing. I'm arguing spoilers into the game for a little bit, her boyfriend, about it, and like, you have, like, and I'm just curious, can you just not argue? Like, you don't press the things and everything, and and maybe it'll change it up and everything. I'm very intrigued by that, so I'm going to probably give this game a go again. It is like as I said, like with Animal Crossing, like, it just, that was, and like a little bit in Final Fantasy VII, that was overly bloated for me. This was just simple. It was sweet. It got in and it got out. It never overstayed its welcome, and I absolutely adored it. It is a beautiful, beautiful game, and I was just like, oh, at the end. I can't say anymore there. I can't say anymore there. I think that's a perfect end.
Florence was an ultimate knockout. There we go. Got him.
Do anything just to get what I said, Liz.
Yeah, I said the thing. It's a good thing. You say the
I said the thing, so that means I am more better.
Words. My number 12, Spiritfarer. I love this game. Like, I knew I would. Like, I went into 2020 knowing I was going to love a lot of games, and I did, which was just really gratifying. But like Spiritfarer was just fantastic. Like the art style alone is just so fucking beautiful to look at. That you just got sometimes you just can't help but just stare at how nice things and things look in the game. The gameplay was really solid. Like it was never too engaging, if that makes sense. Like it was always just like you basically just have to do the same things over and over again. Like which makes the game sound really bad, but actually it's cool. Like and then like it's like you grow on stuff and you just have to remember to water your crops or like cook things, like craft new houses for your boat or whatnot. But where it really shines is the story, which is again it's another game about death. But it's not a downer. It's not depressing. It's bittersweet, which like you play the Spiritfarer. You're hanging out with these people on this boat, but your ultimate aim is to take them to the door which leads to the next world. So some feels involved in that, like, but like I remember playing it and doing the first sort of person like thing, like storyline all the way through, because you have to complete storylines for each character before you send them on their way, and just being like sad but also happy. It's very bittersweet when a character like leaves the boat. But like it's just so meaningful and poignant. On top of being like really emotional. Like I'm looking over at the footage right now, and I completely forgot this was a thing. Like you play music to make the stuff grow faster, and it's just really nice. Like to just sit there like and just chill, play music and stuff, and like you fish off the side of the boat, and it's full of these really quiet moments in amongst sort of like the gameplay, which really like the whole thing ended up really resonating for me quite a lot. Plus, it's got a fucking button you can push and pug people, like which I thought was going to be a key feature like before 2020. But then I actually played the game and I was like, I really need this button right now. Like, hug me.
That's true.
Hug me, people.
That's true. We all need a hug. We all need a hug, and there's no doubt. Number 11 for me is Football Manager 2021. After playing this game even more over Christmas period, it is just a damn good game. Continuing what they do, basically. It's a fine-tuned game, once again, that just works really, really well. Why have you got Spider-Man up?
I don't have Spider-Man. I was gonna.
You would laugh at it,
but
you had to go for
I
it.
brought up the Football Manager thing, and I forgot there was a problem on the podcast where the video was too small for the box. And I thought about bringing up Spider-Man instead, but then you were like, you called me out, so I'm not going to do that.
No, it's fine. Yeah, if you it's a simulator game. If you're into those type of games, this is the perfect one for you. It's really, really fun. It's really, really dynamic. They are tweaking it every year, just adding those, redefining those little bit of core mechanics that they have in there, just to make it even more better. And they do it really, really well. I'm really happy with this game so far. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's an ongoing game, so like I said, there's no completion for it. It's just you keep on playing until you get sacked, or unless you're like me, Liz, I mean, you never get sacked.
Being get sacked and then you just get a different job, right? Like in a different football.
Yeah.
Team.
Yeah. So it's never ending. Like I say, it only ends when you decide to make it end. Basically, where you decide to either retire or just delete the save, so it can never come back.
Oh, I never think about that again. No, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's like simulation games, like really well put together ones. Like, and sometimes you can get one, and if it's a thing you're into, then you can really lose a lot. Like there was like a hockey one, an NHL one that I played once, like a long time ago, and I got super into it, and it was okay, but because it was simulating a thing that I really liked, I played a lot of it because that's how it works, right? Like if I try to play Football Manager, might be entertaining for a bit, but then it would just be like, well, I don't like football, so like I could get like one funny stream out of my complete lack of understanding as to how football works, and then I don't know how much more I could get out of it. But yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's your thing.
It is my thing.
It's your thing.
It's my thing. Just so you know, I have changed up a couple of the games on my list.
Oh no, I was using your list to preempt
just the order. If you go back into the list that I've give you, the link I've give you, it's the new order what I have.
Okay. Like, I can't really say anything because, again, I still don't know what my top 4 order is.
That's true. I was going to say me, so like, at least I know.
Yeah, at least I mean, you've known what your game of the year is for ever
since it came out.
Since it came out. On that similar sort of thing, this is a game I'm surprised is so far down the list. But again, I think it speaks to how good games were in 2020. Because Neo 2 is my number 11. And I fucking love this game. Like, I've spoken about it on the podcast, which was well after, like, obviously, like, when this came out, I was still doing impressions videos. About, like, this game is, like, probably one of the most mechanically perfect games that came out in 2020. Like, just in terms of, like, pure combat mechanics and how it feels to play. Like, it's a Souls-like game. And those games need to be mechanically on point, otherwise they're going to be bad. Like, they're going to be very bad experiences. And Neo 2 is one of my favorite. Like, I like it more than all of the Dark Souls games. Like, the original Neo came out in 2017. I gushed about it so much on a podcast, while also referencing the fact that it was brutally difficult at least 10 times, but still managed to... My enthusiasm for the game still managed to convince Keith to buy it with his PS4, even though he doesn't like Souls-likes. And I feel the same way about Neo 2. I love Neo 2, and I will gush about this game any chance I get, because it's just so satisfying to play. Like, it's incredibly difficult, and there's moments where I'm just like ready to just rage quit the game. But you know what? I come back, and then I do a little bit better. And like, what I love about Souls-likes, and what I love about Neo 2 specifically, is you get better at the game by leveling up, and you get more health, and your weapons get better, and you do more damage, and etc. etc. But there's another power curve in the game, which is you are getting better at the game. And that always feels great to me, where it's just like, there'll be like an enemy. Like, the enemy that's on screen right now is technically the second enemy you encounter in the game. You should not fight this enemy under any circumstances, because he will fucking obliterate you, but you can come back later. And you're more powerful in terms of, like, leveling up and whatnot, but also, you're just better at the game. Like, and can beat this guy up. Like, and that's fantastic. That's such a great feeling. Like, it's long. There's like 60 bosses in the game. I'm never gonna finish it, like, because there's just so many bosses. Like, I play Bloodborne and it has like 16 bosses. Like, Neo 2 has 60, and it's just like, holy crap. But you know what? It's great. Like, you just explore these different levels. It's Japan. It's feudal Japan. It's the same setting as Ghost of Tsushima. And I feel like that's just always a great setting for a game, in terms of just how it looks and how interesting everything is, especially when it delves into, like, because this is very, like, mythological based, right? It's like demons and shit in it. And yeah, it beat me up a lot, but then I beat it up as well. So, like in a Rocky movie. Hey, yo, Adrian. Well, Moody, we're halfway. If this is the halfway point of the podcast, it's gonna be a fucking long podcast.
Yeah, no, I think a couple of these games we've already talked about, which I'll pose to say, yeah,
that is true.
Saying what she said and everything like that. So
that's what she said.
Yeah,
wait, no, I'm not
that's
joking.
What he said, type of thing. But no, number 10 is, for me, the best sports game of the year, which has been consistently the best sports game of the year, which they tweaked even better by adding in their own create your own team mode, which just mind-bogglingly made it even better, even though I'm incredibly worried by who could be potentially buying them. That is F1 2020. I am a huge F1 fan, if you all know, especially if you've listened to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I bring it up a lot, especially when the season's on. But don't worry, that won't be until March this year. But I reviewed this for our friends over at My Xbox and Me for them. I got the code from him and everything for it, and it was, like I said, it is the smallest changes that can literally make the change a game's whole dynamic. And just that one little change of you create your own team, you manage it, bringing in basically a simulate as like a sim like football manager type of mentality, or a motorsport, the motorsport one that's out there on Steam. Just does it in a really good way, adding with the incredible mechanics of driving and how it feels already. It's absolutely fantastic. Even though Lewis Hamilton continues to go past me, and I hate
everyone
him.
else.
Well, no, let's rephrase that. Sir Lewis
Sir
Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton.
Let's forget that. Sir Lewis. Sir Hammond.
What was it we called him? Sir Lewis of Hammer Time.
Yeah, Sir Lewis of Hammer Time. Yes, that is true. Yeah, but yeah, this like FIFA gets a lot of flack a lot, and so does Madden, just of being a copy paste game. The 2019 game I thought was a copy paste game from 2018. It still played really well, but it didn't really add something new to it. This added something new that completely fundamentally changed the game enough that made you go, okay, now we're getting somewhere type of mentality, and I absolutely adored it. And if they just do that even more for next year's game, I'm going to be super excited for it. So F1 2020, absolutely fantastic game. Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton for 7 times world champion, and congratulations on United. Well, I have to say it again.
Stop saying that. This
He's
is an F1 podcast. This is a video game podcast. Now I feel like I'm introing an entirely different podcast. Number 10. Amy's number 10 is Half-Life Alyx. The only VR game I played all year. That's not an exaggeration. I played.
Is this really the only quintessential VR game to play at all this year?
I played one single VR game. Other VR games came out and I almost played them. The problem is, like, it's such a hassle to set up. Like, I really want an Oculus Quest just for the fact that it's not such a hassle to set the damn thing up. This game, though, is absolutely amazing to play. Like, just in terms of its physicality, like all of the things you've heard about VR and like what it can do is like, but in the hands of some of the most talented developers in the games industry. Like, and you combine the two things and it feels incredible. Like, there's a head crabs. There are head crabs in the game, Moody. They're fucking terrifying. Like,
some might call them Facebookers or rip off Facebookers.
Yeah, whatever. But like, I feel like everyone I know probably must have seen the GIF because I shared it a million times of like that one streamer catching a head crab as it was jumping towards him in a chair and throwing it out the window. Like, that's a thing you couldn't do in a first person shooter. There's no way you could do that unless it was a QTE. Like, but you can do it in VR because that level of physicality and interaction with the world exists. Like, on the footage you're watching right now, there is a head crab. I have a bin lid in my hand, and I am using it as a shield to protect myself from the head crab that keeps jumping at me. No video game can let you do this except a VR game, and except probably Half-Life Alyx. Like, my hand is shaking. You can see my hand shaking because I'm holding the controller with the gun in it. Like, it is one of my favorite experiences of 2020. The scene, the bit where I come across the head crab for the very first time is probably one of the funniest pieces of content I've ever put out on social media ever. Where I start trying to shoot my own face off with a gun that's not got any bullets in it. Because I just panicked and couldn't reload. Like, but like, it does so many cool little things as well. Like, when you're reloading, you know, you've got to like put the magazine in the gun and cock the gun like manually. When you find things in the environment, like, you can do the thing where you flick the gravity gloves, because that's the thing from that this Half-Life is doing, and you just flick them up and you catch it. But you do that. You don't, like, it's not just like an animation that happens. It's like you literally flick the thing up and then you catch it. And it feels incredible. Just that one small little thing is one of the most satisfying things I did in a video game. Oh yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So good. Wish more VR games were like this.
Fantastic. Yeah, I never played this game, so I can't comment on whatsoever. But yeah, I hear nothing but great things about it, especially as for a VR game in general and everything. So it's fabulous to hear that type of thing. Number 9 for me is a game that you've already talked about, but I did just drop it down a little bit on my list, and that is Spiritfarer. Because when I listen to everything what you're saying is absolutely spot on, but the thing I think what made me go, I need to lower this down on my list a little bit, is it's long. It is a little too long.
It is a long game.
It's a game that's so long that I still haven't even completed yet, which is testament to the games that are out there that are absolutely fantastic as well, because there's so many. But Spiritfarer is a game that I wanted to get back to that I just didn't get back to because I was just like, oh my god, I still haven't completed this yet. I felt like I was done. So after that, I was just like, I gotta put it back. This is a fabulous game. Go and give it a love. Go and give it some love, ladies. It's on Game Pass and everything. But yeah, it is just like Final Fantasy. It's a little bloated, a little too long. But yeah, it's still a fabulous game. Cool, visually stunning. It's beautiful looking, and the music is so beautiful. And the mechanic of what you just said, hug can be one of the best things ever.
This is what I love about video games, is that sometimes, like, because of the two things we've just talked about back to back there, you've just talked about a hug in Spiritfarer, and I've just talked about picking items up in Half-Life Alyx. Sometimes it really is the little things that can just make a huge difference to how much you can love a game.
That's true.
And I love that. That's one of the things I genuinely love about video games. So the next one for me is one I played over Christmas break. How does the alphabet work? There it is.
A, B, C.
Way further down than that. It's Paradise Killer. So, like, first of all, apologies to the PR company that sent me the code for this, and then I never got around to playing it. Look, there were a lot of games this year, and they were all really good. Like, but you know what? Turns out this one was too, and I really shouldn't have put it off. I played a lot of this game in a very short amount of time because I couldn't put it down. I don't even know how to describe this game. It's a detective game, basically. It's an open world, first person detective game. You play an investigator. There's been a mass murder, and you have to figure out who did it. And, like, that's it. You're given so much freedom to, like, figure out who did this thing. So there's, like, a cast of characters that populate this island. And you have to find evidence around the island, and then you have to question them and talk to them, and you get statements. So basically, you get their testimonies, and then you get alibis, and then you have to figure out if those alibis are sound or not. And there's also a lot of other stuff going on, like in the background, like massive conspiracies and stuff that you have to pick through all of this to figure out who did the mass murdering. And that's it. The game really lets you be a detective, like, in this game. Like, it really lets you be an investigator. Like, the best comparison I can make is, like, you know, Batman Arkham games, where it's like you can kind of, like, it leverages the fact that Batman is also the world's greatest detective. But how that works in those games is you activate detective mode, you find the thing, you click on the thing, and then Batman tells you exactly what the thing means. And that's it. And that's great in that game. In this game, you have to piece it all together, and you can fuck it up. You could be completely wrong, and the game will never at any point out that you were wrong. Like, so you build the case in your head, and you build the narrative in your head, and if you've missed evidence or you've gone completely down the wrong path, tough shit, that's happened. And you'll never know, because the game never tells you did that. On top of that, this game has a really cool, vibrant art style. It's got a really cool jazz soundtrack that just plays in the background of the entire game as you're walking around. Also, it's weird as fuck.
I like how she says this. It's
weird as fuck. Like, when I'm like you're probably expecting like this to be like some noir sort of detective game, like, oh, it's gritty, it's street crime, it's right. So no, this game is set in some sort of weird afterlife, and it's like the 24th version of Paradise because they keep getting destroyed by demons and they have to sacrifice all of the humans that are in Paradise and reset it and go to another island. The characters all have Metal Gear Solid names, like the main character is called Lady Love Dies. There's a reference to Resident Evil 4 randomly in one conversation that really caught me off guard, like specifically Resident Evil 4. It's such a weird game. This is exactly the game these developers wanted to make. They compromised nothing. It's bananas. Like, you walk through a door and all of a sudden you're on an asteroid in space because that's what the door connects to. And it makes perfect sense. And you learn about all of this lore and there's so much, like, it's so deep. The depth of the lore and the history of the world and the characters are so deep. And the best part is, like, the whole game is basically you're learning about the characters because you need to figure out which one of them killed a bunch of people. Like, it's phenomenal. Check it out. Like, if what I've just said sells you on the game, check it out. I'm sorry I didn't play it sooner. Like, because this is a phenomenal game. Truly spectacular. And it makes me feel so smart because it doesn't lead me on.
Fantastic. My next game is a game that I was very late to. This came out in the middle of the year, June. Desperados 3. Never played Desperados 1 or 2. I'll just say that right now, ladies and gentlemen.
I've never played any of them.
But this is a prequel, so I'm okay there, I've been told. This is a real-time tactics video game developed by Mimimi Games and published by THQ Nordic. This is... Have you heard of the game, the real-time tactical game Commando?
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah,
way back in the day.
It is that. Basically, I'll just say that right now. It is that type of game, but with the cool Western sound. They've got an amazing soundtrack, which is just so Westerny. I know it sounds really weird. It sounds very weird to say that because this is a Western game. It is Western. It's cowboys and shit and all like that. But the characters are really, really fun. I just love the unique individual differences all of them have. You got a woman who literally uses her phenomenon wiles to distract a certain characters if you need them, and then or you can literally just go in and get her to kick him right in the nuts, and it's beautiful. And you see that it's brilliant. And then tries to drag him into a wardrobe and just lock him away and everything.
Like in Hitman, those are my kind of feminine wiles.
And you've got the main character in it, which is the knife dude, and he's just he's like really, really canny. I really like this game. It's difficult. It has a learning curve. It's very, very fun though. I can't say much more about it. Like I said, the Desperados 3, give it a go. It's on sale right now for Steam and on Epic. If you've got that £10 coupon, that's £10 save there. Knocks it down to like 15 quid, I think.
If you've got that £10 coupon, use it on this. And then when you get the next £10 coupon, buy Desperados
3. Yeah.
I couldn't believe when it was like, you get a free upgrade to the final cut of Disco Elysium. But also you can get an extra tenner off if you buy it. And I was like, fucking shit. I'm going to tell everyone about this. This is amazing.
Fantastic, Liz.
But yes, that sounds really good. I might play it. Maybe. If I've got time at some point. I like tactics games. My number 8 is Wasteland 3. I really liked Wasteland 3 a lot. Like, it might shock you to know that I would like a game by some of the original developers of the original Fallout games, which I'd refer to as the good ones, as opposed to the Bethesda developed ones, which I refer to differently. And I adored Wasteland 3, like, for everything that it was. The writing in this game is probably what pushed it over the edge for me into being an amazing game. Like, it's a good RPG. Like, it's never terribly difficult, I found. If you're not skipping a lot of content, you basically you'll never be in too much trouble when it comes into sort of like combat or like sneaking or like doing any of the other things you can do to avoid combat, because that's a thing that you should be able to do in RPGs if you stack your characters a different way. But the writing in this game was fantastic. Like the like you start off and it's good, and you can use logic on characters. Like, you don't have to just pass a speech check and get them to do stuff. Like, there's a robot really early on in the game that I used logic on to talk my way past, and it worked. And it was great, and it made me feel great because I logicked this thing without ever like just picking the speech option. Because they're like, you learn very quickly in the game that like if you pick a skill, like if you have skills high enough, you can unlock different dialogue options in dialogue.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really don't want to say those things because they're not the right things to say. They're not good things to say to people. Like, and sometimes that's a bad idea. But it's like partway through the game where it's like I came across like the commune of people. They were all called Dancy, and they worshipped an AI of Ronald Reagan, who was in a giant statue that shot lasers out of its eyes, and they hated commies so much, and and then there's like, you got to kill the commie robots up the hill, so you go and meet the commie robots up the hill, but then they're all really chill and really nice, like people, like robots. And then all of the interactions you have with these robots are fantastic. And it just, I was just loving every second of that whole quest line, which was like a good few hours long. And it wasn't, and it continued in that vein of just being like, yep. And then you get to the next main area, and it's even weirder, and the writing's even cooler, and oh, Jesus, such a great fun experience.
Some might say this worked for you.
It really did. Like, it really, really did. And just before
I haven't installed, I just haven't had a crack on it yet.
Yeah, no, I think you like it. Like,
it comes across like it's kind of like Desperados a little bit. So
the gameplay is it's like a tactical RPG type thing. So you're looking at sort of like an XCOM-ish experience. Like,
cool.
It is also like an RPG. So like, you create your own character. So you have a party, but you create a lot of the characters yourself. So you can create a really balanced party quite early on. Which is probably why the gameplay is not terribly difficult, because you can min-max it quite easily.
Smash it.
Smash it, mate. What's your next game, Moody?
Ghost Runners. Cyberpunk game, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the one you were expecting. Ghost Runner. It is infuriatingly brilliant. That's the best explanation I can give it. This is infuriatingly brilliant. The gameplay, if you can get it right, you are a monster in this game. But also can be very unforgiving at the same time, especially when you get it wrong, like I did a lot of times. I almost threw my controller at the screen. I was like, no, this is my brand new monitor. No, I don't want to do this. Put it down, walk away, and everything like that. It's a unique single-player experience. There's no doubt about it. Fast-paced, violent combat. Just works. Like, you just have a sword and you jump from walls, run across them, jump, slice. If you get hit, you are dead. You're one hit dead instantly. But it's a one-hit kill for the other people as well. Like, because you're obviously a sword, you slice them and dice them. I really had a lot of fun with this game. Its energy, the infuriatingness to what I had on this game just made me want to try even more. And I respect the hell out of this game. It deserves all the love and praise it's had.
Awesome. I did not play it, so.
And it's beautiful. I'll just say that. It is visually stunning.
Oh, yeah. Like, the footage that's on the screen right now does look really good. But I skipped it. I skipped a lot of games this year, as it turns out. Still managed to play 100 of them. That's how many fucking games there were this year. Where are we up to? Number 7. My number 7 is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. And it wouldn't have been if I hadn't got impatient with Boomerang and just bought the fucking thing. I bought a video game, everybody. I bought a AAA video game. What's wrong with me? Yeah, this is half visual novel, half mech sci-fi tactics game, which is an interesting combination. And it's got this got buzz from certain people who I follow on Twitter whose tastes line up with mine when it comes to sort of the more out there stuff. So I naturally decided to give this a shot. I wasn't prepared for how much I was gonna love this game. Like, there's some anime bullshit in the game. Like, it's a sci-fi mech story, but also like a high school. Like, all the characters are in high school. So
Like they always are in anime.
half the game takes place in a high school, and it's like within like 5 minutes of the game, it's like, oh, all the characters, like when they get in the mechs, they're naked. Don't know why. It's pointed out, and it's just like, it's the anime bullshit. But there's a few
Evangelion.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments like that, but you push past that because the story's really good. Like, it's told in a really weird way. So 13 Sentinels is a reference to the number of main characters in the game. So there are 13 characters that you play as. And the way this story unfolds is really cool. So, like, it just starts you off in a battle. You have no context of what the fuck's going on. And then, like, a couple of characters are having a conversation you don't understand. Like, it's just, you get in the game and it's like you got no idea what's going on. But then what it does is it does this. So like each battle mission is broken up by story missions or story segments where it's like such and such a character's story. So you play like the prologue of this one character's story, and then you do a battle, and then you play another. And it's like you're piecing the story together like a puzzle as you play through it. And the way it's done is really good. It's really compelling because you always want to know what happens next. Like, you'll meet a character who seems like an incidental character in one part of the story, and then like a couple of chapters later, oh, that's a character. That's the main character of this next story section that I'm doing. Like, and then like, oh, all of a sudden, oh, there's time travel. Okay, great. What? Oh, okay. Like, it's so good. Like, it's such a good sci-fi story. The characters are really entertaining, but the way the story is told makes it so like it's hard to put down. It's like when you're binging something on Netflix and you just want to keep watching the next episode because you're really hooked on the story and need to know what's happening. Like the RPG tactics side of it, I can take or leave that. Like, it's good, it's fine. It's not amazing. It doesn't blow me away in any way, but like the story, I'm here for the story. I needed to know what was happening next. So I just blow through that as fast as I could, and then be like, cool, who's next? Like, which character is next? Because again, there's 13. And they have multiple parts, like multiple chapters to the story. Like, you spend so long just doing prologues, like, for each character and learning who the fuck they even are. But it's the way it builds on itself is phenomenal. Like, all of a sudden, people are time traveling from like World War II, and like it's set in 1985, but then it's like futuristic. But it's just weird and great, and I love it so much. And it's such a confidently told story, like the way they did it.
I've never heard of this game, so I can't comment on it at all.
I'd heard of it, and it was only when it started getting buzz. Like, I think a lot of the people I follow on Twitter who are talking about this only picked it up to play it for end of year stuff. And then I did because they were talking about it, and I'm really glad I did because it's phenomenal. It's my number 7 game of the year for 2020.
What we want to hear? Want to hear good things? Number 6 for me is a game you've already talked about, Pathless. This is brilliant. That's it. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic, and I love it because it's barely any combat. Like you said, the gameplay is so good and unique that you use your bow and arrow to speed yourself up and get across the map, and it's fabulous for it. You and also the cutest bird ever. You
want to protect this bird. That, yeah.
You want to protect this bird, cherish it, clean it up,
pet
it like crazy, and
it's a gameplay mechanic.
Never let any harm happen to it. Yeah, I love this game. It was so good. And it's breathtakingly beautiful. Breathtakingly. Some of these games, like all the games are visually stunning, but there are some that just like you make you go, wow.
Yeah, like we've reached a point now. Like art styles are getting bolder in games.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it because, I mean, sure, like photorealistic, like really well animated games that are trying to look real still blow me away from time to time. But like then you get a game like The Pathless where it's just like the art style is just so vibrant, so bold, and it's just a beautiful thing to look at and behold in all of its majesty. Oh man, I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, I gotta figure out what. I gotta make some decisions.
Yes, Amy. Yes, you
but
have.
not right now. The only decision.
Number 6 for you.
I don't have to make a decision yet. I'm talking about Yakuza Like a Dragon. I love this game. I'm not just do I love it, I'm in love with it. Like, it's Yakuza, but it's a turn-based RPG. Great, fantastic. I already love Yakuza, so I'm in. Like, there's nothing, like, I don't have a bad thing to say about this game. It's goofy in all the right ways. It's heartfelt in all the right ways. It's serious when it needs to be serious. It's hilarious when it needs to be hilarious. Like, so many things about this game stayed the same from the previous games, like the previous Yakuza games, which were about Kiryu, and this is obviously about Ichiban. But so many things changed, and the things that changed have just made the game, for me, like as someone who played a couple of Yakuza games because they got localized in a really weird order and never got into the series, this was the jumping on point where it's like new city, new protagonist. It's like cool, this is the perfect place to jump in because it's like a reboot. And then it's like you get into it and it's like cool, the brawling's gone, it's now an RPG. Brilliant. It was great. It's a really well done RPG. And when you read the story of how long they spent making it and why it became an RPG, it's like, wow, when they actually go in depth with it in Yakuza 8, that's gonna be some fucking game. Um the characters are phenomenally good, and the fact that there's like a party system in the game which didn't exist before means that the characters bond in RPG like ways, and it's great. And Ichiban is one of my favorite protagonists of the year. He must be protected at all costs. Like, he's so cool. I loved it. Play it. If you've never played a Yakuza game before, play it. If you're a long time Yakuza fan, play it. If you wanted to jump in, but there's 7 games to play, and that's a lot of games, and you don't want to play that many games, play this one. Because it's a new start. You do not need to have played any of the previous Yakuza games to get any enjoyment out of this. And it is still a quintessential Yakuza experience, like, and you will get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I can't believe this isn't in my top 5. That's how good a year 2020 has been. I am shocked that this isn't higher. That's how much I loved this game.
Next game for me is a game I'm suspecting it's a little bit higher for you, Amy. But that is, let's just say it, this is the quintessential roguelike that all roguelikes need to aspire to become. Hades is phenomenal. The gameplay loop, they change it up, just like what I said with the F1 2020, just adding in that unique little difference changes up this roguelike game from being just a typical roguelike game to making it a arguably one of the best games of 2020 by a mile. The gameplay is, you get a choice. You can do sword, shield, bow and arrow. Shield is fantastic. Being Captain America is fantastic. Shout out to Amy. You're the one who recommended that. I'll say that. The art style is again breathtaking, but breathtaking because of its unique style they go for. The action is incredible. The characters are so well realized that you love and adore them. even though you are fighting most of them.
Yeah.
Let's just be frank here. When you die, it moves the story forward. That's how crazy it is when it comes to this. The story moves forward because you die, and that is fantastic what they've done there. So well done to them for this game. It is superb. I cannot wait to see what they do next.
I know, right? I feel like I've said that after every Supergiant game ever, but every time, like it's just like they do it. They do it. Like they manage to do it. It's incredible. But I'm not going to talk about Hades in depth just yet, really. Going to talk about the last game I played over Christmas break. On this list, I mean, like it wasn't the last game I played. I played this on Christmas Eve. And what a fun Christmas Eve that was! I played If Found, which you mentioned them before, and I want to specifically highlight that this is another game that was published by Annapurna Interactive. Annapurna Interactive have stealthily become one of the best publishers in video games. Like, if you look at their catalog, like, they are fucking great. Like, whoever at Annapurna, whatever person or people, like, are responsible for signing games to publish, right? They're not getting paid enough. Give them a raise and a bigger office because
money.
They're doing some ridiculously good work right now. And If Found was just fantastic. Like, I bought it on a whim in the Steam sale when I saw that it had been released in 2020. I was like, cool, I'll play this because it sounds really interesting. Like, I cannot talk in too much detail about this game because it is a story-driven game, and I don't want to spoil any of the story.
Yes, I have it. I do intend to play it. So.
You interact with the game in two ways. And there's like two story threads going on again. I'm not going to really spoil anything, but like there's the sort of the more traditional story aspects where it's just you're watching conversations happen on the screen and you're clicking through as the dialogue happens. And the other one is on the screen right now. It's like the main character has a journal, and there's stuff written in that journal, and sometimes stuff is like crossed out or like there's stuff written on top, and you basically are erasing stuff. So, which is a really fascinating mechanic in its own right that I could literally make an entire video about, where it's like you're erasing things to see other things. You're erasing like it, and again, there's a whole reason for that you'll know when you play it. The story punched me in the stomach, like in a good way. Like it's like 2 or 3 hours long. It's got a really like long prologue where you sort of like you see what happens to the characters over the course of their entire lives, like. Essentially, like it's like an epilogue from a role playing game, but longer. And it's totally optional. You don't even have to play it if you don't want to. But like, I can't really speak too much to this game and what it is because I don't want to do spoilers. But I also can't speak highly enough of this game. It's fantastic. It's like an afternoon game. You could just sit down for an afternoon and play it and be drawn in by some excellent characters. A really cool art style, again, like we've talked about so many times in these games. And it's a phenomenal story that hits close to home for me. And I don't think many people will hold it in as high regard as I do because it's very personal for me. But then that's what Game of the Year lists are for, right? So
that's true.
Suck it, haters. That's it. I'm done. That's definitely where I'm gonna leave off with that one.
I think that's the best way to do it. Like, especially if you don't want to spoil any of it.
I don't want to spoil anything. Like, you should experience as much of this game blind as possible.
Definitely fantastic. Number 4 for me, ladies and gentlemen, is a game that was in Emery's honorable mentions, and that is Spider-Man Miles Morales.
I could finally put the thing up on purpose.
Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. I'll just be frank here. His game that was released in 2018 was absolutely fabulous, and I love this. This game is not as good as that one, but this game gets a lot of praise for me because of its length alone. I think it's a nice little appetizer, and I think it fits in perfectly, along with the great character that is Miles Morales. fitting in with the nice little characters that are twinkled out throughout the entire story. Yes, a little bit of the story needed to be a little bit more flushed out with a certain character, but both me and Amy agreeing upon it. But either way, this has still got the amazing combat that had what they brought in 2018, added in with the flair of what Miles Morales' character's powers are, and with just the swinging in New York City is fabulous. Why would you want to speedrun? Why would you want to use the fast travel on this game?
Like, I did it once just to see if it didn't have any loading screens on my PS5, and it didn't. It was great.
Yeah.
That was literally the only reason I did it.
Yeah, I barely used the fast travel. I only used it if I felt like I needed to. I was just like, okay, I just want to get this. I want to move on, do like certain things. Like if I wanted to, I was doing certain collectibles.
I need to pee. I've drank a lot of water. You keep talking.
Okay. When I needed to get certain collectibles, that's the only time I used the fast travel, especially as I was at the top to get to the bottom. But other than that, this game is absolutely fabulous, and it looks amazing still on PlayStation 4. I know if you've got the PlayStation 5, it's probably the best place to play it, but the PlayStation 4 one was just as good, just as pretty, just as amazing, with amazing characters. It deserves all the love that you're going to get, ladies and gentlemen, for this game. Go check it out. Like I say, PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, you will not be disappointed whatsoever for it. She is back. Let's crack on. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Go and buy it, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice, you kept it going. Thank you.
I was thinking of just sitting there, just go.
I wouldn't have caught it either. I wouldn't have caught it, and then it would have been in the podcast, and then I would have got some messages of people who watched it and been like, "What the fuck happened here?
What happened to Moody?"
And then I would have watched it, and it would have been really, really fucking creepy. Yeah, it turns out after all that the Spider-Man Miles Morales footage was in a different folder.
Of course it was.
So it took me a minute to find it. I was like, "Oh shit, no." Oh shit, I've got to make some decisions now, don't I?
Number 4, you need time to make some decisions. What is number 4 out of the 4 games that you have on your list?
Of the 4 games,
I'm guessing one of them. I'm guessing one of them is Hades.
No spoilers. I mean, you can guess all 4 really easily if you know me.
I think I know 3 of them.
I just got to figure out. I just got to figure out the order of them. Number 4. On my Game of the Year list, I'm locking it in. The video footage is now locked in. Number 4 on my Game of the Year list is the game that's going to make Moody mad. It's Among Us. I tried to keep it out of my list, and I couldn't, because I think I said this to you verbatim on one of the podcasts, where it's like, I can't have a conversation about 2020, video games in 2020, without talking about Among Us. And I've altered the rules of Game of the Year list. I've only ever done it once before, where I did it with PUBG a year after it came out. I justify it in my own head because I've never played it before or tried to give it a Game of the Year position. There. Also, it's my list and I don't care. Stop looking at me like that.
I get it. Among Us is an incredible game.
Among Us is an incredible game.
It is so much fun. Like the game, when you and me have played it with all our other friends on Saturdays, it's been fabulous. It's been brilliant, and we all go for a cynical at the beginning if you're an imposter. So
yeah, I missed yesterday's because I was doing the B-roll footage for this podcast, and I was literally in Ryan's chat. Ravinical, Ryan. I was in Ryan's chat, and I said like the reason the imposters keep losing. I said this to Ryan is because no one's killing you first, and you're figuring out who the imposters are really, really quickly because you're too good at this game. And he said that part out loud. And then the first thing that happened was Paul killed Ryan within seconds. And I was like, thank you. Somebody's listening to me.
Wait, they haven't listened to me? That's what I always did. I went for Ravinical. I always did. If he wasn't an imposter with me, I always went for him because he will suss you out. He literally caught me faking getting scanned.
Yeah, when visual tasks were off.
Yeah, he caught me getting scanned, faking getting scanned. I couldn't bloody believe it. And I was just like, wait, what?
it's a fantastic game to play. Like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
When you're a crewmate, when you're an imposter, like, but the level of stress when you're an imposter is hard to describe. Like how stressful the game is when you're trying to surreptitiously murder people.
Let's just say it, Amy, one last time. You and me, we got 2 wins
we got
together
2 wins
as the
together
imposters in 2020.
in 2020. I've just realized in the footage I have for this game, which is playing because it's from the stream because I've only ever streamed the game. I'm wearing the same t-shirt I'm wearing now, which must be a really weird visual. Somewhere there's 2 boxes of me on the screen right now.
Washed since she last played this game, ladies and gentlemen? That's the ultimate question.
No comment. This game has brought like so many disparate parts of my life together. Like, we've built this crew of people to play it where it's like we have too many people. If everyone said yes to playing this game, we'd have a problem because the game won't fit that many people in. But like, it's like you and Keith and Russell, like from like my gaming life, and then there's like my streamer friends like Kirsty and Averill, and then there's like people I know from my day job like Phil and his wife Erica, and like real life friends who don't play video games, and people I've never met before who are friends of other people who are in our group, like Smashy and Zero. That's why I don't know their real names. Like, it just brings people together. And then we all shout at each other.
I don't know you, but I'm going to find you in this game and stab you.
And then you get to the end of the game and, like, the game's over. Whatever's happened has happened. And then you just laugh and joke around about what just happened. It's great. Like, I couldn't not have this on the list. It won't be on the list next year. Or this year, I guess.
I understood your reasoning. I didn't agree with it, but I did understand the reasoning.
Yeah, like, it's why Phasmophobia is not on the list. It's an early access game. Once it comes out for realsies, we'll see where it lands. But I have to. It's a phenomenal game, and we will now move on.
Number 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not true, though, is it?
Number 3.
I can see your list.
Is Tell Me Why. This is fantastic storytelling. Peak Dope Nod, who have done amazing stories from Life is Strange season 1 and 2, and even the prequel that they did with the Before the Storm. This one just goes even further, where I was just completely touched and was emotional at the end for this story. I was just thinking, wow, this is absolutely fantastic and fabulous how they were doing it. I don't want to spoil any of it, just in case no one, if you haven't played it, Amy, or anything like that. But this, I loved this story. I cared for these characters. I wanted these characters to succeed in whatever way they needed to fulfill what they needed in the game. And the story was just very well done. You think it's going one way, and it doesn't. It goes a different direction and adds in new elements to make you go, oh wow. It makes you just go off. And the thing is, when you realize it, you're thinking those little things that they were just showing were those nice little hints, to telling you certain elements. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful game that they did it right when it came to episodic games. They released them all within the month of each other. All came out within the same month, which is fantastic. That's how it should have done work Telltale Games. Sorry, Telltale. I love you. I did love you, but sadly, you are no longer around in the old version of it.
I was going to say, they kind of are. It's weird.
Yeah, the old version. This is... Don't Nod seem like they have got it right when it comes to episodic games right now. What Telltale sadly rode the wave of love and enthusiasm that they had with season 1 of The Walking Dead. Don't Nod seem like they are balancing that right with great storytelling, but also throwing that all out within close to each other so you could absorb it. Because like when it came to the Telltale's ones, you would basically have to replay episode 1 again to get ready for episode 2 because it was like 6 months after episode 1 came out. This one they do it right. Yeah. This one they did it right, just like they've done basically Life is Strange right for the most part as well. I know season 2 for Life is Strange, they kind of was, I think that was the part where it was maybe a little too separated when it came to the episodes, their form overall. But this one, if they've hit it right, money wise and everything like that, and they've got a good recoup from it by having it all in within the first month, I'm hoping they're gonna stick to this type of formula from now on and get the game done, get it basically ready to go out within a few weeks of each other. Because if they do that, you're gonna do it properly, like an episode, like it is an episode game. Do it like a TV show. Do it like that, week on content. If you can do it like that, you'll have a really good show.
I'll just do it like Alan Wake and let me binge the whole thing. I didn't play it, tell me why. I played about an hour of it. I need to play more. Like, that's where I'm at with the game. It's got nothing to do with like the quality or whatever. I need to play more, so I didn't end up.
There was a lot of games out there, so
there are a lot of fucking games.
There have been a lot. So sadly, some have missed out of the list on this. Like for me, I didn't get round to playing Ghost of Tsushima. I have it; it's right in front of me. I just never got round to playing it.
Yeah, like Demon's Souls is probably going to drop through my letterbox tomorrow, and maybe I'll play it and be like, "Shit, that should have been in my list," but it didn't arrive in time.
Yeah, you'd be like, "Oh shit, this should have been number one."
I'll be like, "Moody, where are you recording?"
Number 3 for you.
I have to make decisions.
Come on, Amy.
Number 3 for me is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And again, this speaks to the quality of the games that came out in 2020, because this game is everything I needed it to be. Like,
You were probably the most worried when it came to this game.
Terrified they were remaking my favorite game of all time. I was fucking shitting my pants every time they showed this game off, thinking, is this the moment where I see the thing where they've fucked it up? And even when I was playing the game, it was like, is this the moment where they fuck it up? And they never fucked it up. It is incredible. Like, for some reasons I can't go into for plot spoilers. Which is weird, but you know, like I've always said, I know it sounds weird that I can't spoil a game, a remake of a 1997 game, but I can't. Like, and you'll see why if you finish the game. But it's just maybe my favorite Final Fantasy, like, of all time. Like, even beyond the original Final Fantasy VII, I guess we'll see. Like, because it's a multi-part game.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like past that and make that sort of statement. But like, a part of the reason I love it is nostalgia. Like the Aerith theme, for example, like just hearing like certain themes or seeing certain characters or seeing certain interactions that I remember from the original game, like, will just get to me because, again, favorite game of all time. Like seeing the way the game's expanded, like you talked about, like the Biggs, Jesse, and Wedge, who were basically non-existent characters in, you know, Final Fantasy VII. Like they existed to die very quickly and unmemorably in the original game, whereas here they expand the characters. They make you get to know them, and you get to do entire missions with them that didn't exist in the original Final Fantasy, and even the stuff they added is still really good. And then there's the bit that I was really worried about, which was the cross-dressing cloud bit, which was horrifically mangled in Final Fantasy VII, the original. It was terrible. It was a horrible section. It was so tone-deaf and just really cringy and hard to play through. And in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's amazing. It's the best part. It's one of the best parts of the game. Like, they did it so well that I loved it. Like, I loved every moment of it. And the whole game is just great. The ending is crazy, and I so cannot wait until 2035 to see what they do next with this game.
Yeah, I am intrigued when the next part comes out, because we know Final Fantasy 16 is on the way. It's rumored that's coming maybe in the next 2 years, because we have finally seen a trailer for it, and we don't know anything about the part 2 for this game or whatever. That's very intriguing to when we're going to get that. So
I need it quickly. I mean, I'm not going to get it quickly, but the sooner the better. This is a game I am very highly anticipating. Like I say, I loved it. Like, the characters are incredible. Like, they pop out of the screen more because they're given a lot more screen time, because again, like they've remade this game into a 30-hour game based on like the first 5 hours of Final Fantasy VII, but it's like 35-hour game now. So the characters get more room to breathe, which means you get to see them interact more, and I love them, and the way they're written, the performances, everything about them is just incredible. Like, it's tremendous. It's tremendous. Like, what an achievement. Like,
I will probably try and go back to this game probably eventually, but like I say, just not right now for myself. Number 2 for me is another game that was on your honorable mentions, but this was the game. This was my game of the year for the longest months until my actual game of the year came out, and that is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This game took everything what the first one had and improved upon it by a mile, by adding in some action gameplay instead of it just being a runaway type of game.
Yeah, they fixed the combat.
Yeah, they gave you combat that just worked and made it brilliant. Keeping in with the amazing storytelling that they had, the subtle storytelling that they had, that was just absolutely fabulous and amazing. They add into the unique art structure that they have for this that just looks like it's a painting, for God's sakes. It looks like a masterpiece of a paint, and with the music. And yeah, I was just at the end of this and I was just like, wow. Like at the end, I was just like, wow.
That's a really good thing to say at the end of a video game, right?
Yeah.
Just wow.
And I was just like, damn. That was so good. It was so good. So yeah, Will of the Wisp. It's on Game Pass, ladies and gentlemen. Go and give it some love when you get a chance.
Oh no.
Make the decision, Danny.
I'm dreading this is what I'm saying. I'm dreading you stopping talking, because I know that means I've got to make a decision. Which means I know that I've got to decide right now what my game of the year 2020 was. I loved both these games. Like, before I say what it is, I love both of these games equally. Is that weird to say? Like, I'm gonna put one at number 1 and one at number 2, because that's how this whole game of the year list thing works, right? But like, in my head, when I think about 2020 and I think about game of the year, like, there's nothing between them. Like, both of the games, my number 1 and my number 2, as far as I'm concerned, they're both number 1. But
if it's the games what I think they are, what makes it even more interesting and what makes it even more brilliant and unique is that both fundamentally
incredibly different games. Exactly.
Yeah.
My number 2, my number 2 game of the year 2020, which is really joint first.
That's fair. You can say that.
Is Hades. And it feels bad to say it, but it feels bad to say it the other way around as well. Like, this is Supergiant's magnum opus. This is almost a perfect video game. Like, I can't believe, like, and I love Supergiant. I love Bastion. I love Transistor. I'm not playing Pyre, but I did buy it in the Steam sale at Christmas, and I do plan on making a video about all 4 of these games and how they have led to Hades. Like in 5 years, when we're doing favorite games of all time, because we've ran out of content ideas, like, this game will be on that list. Like, they managed to take the roguelike formula and make it a narrative experience. Like, you don't just, like, get to a certain point and then die and then have to try and get past that point to reach the next part of the story or whatever. Like, that's not how this works. You die and you go back to the bottom of Hades, and then that's it. That's the next part of the story, because then you get to talk to everybody again. And the story's phenomenal, and the characters are incredible, and everything, the music, the gameplay, like, we looked up our Epic Games Store stats when we were hanging out the other day, and I've played this game for like 30 hours, and it really doesn't feel like it. Like, it doesn't feel like I've put that much time into the game. Like, I could play this game forever. Like, I know it's got an end. I'm nearly there. Like, it's got an ending which you can get within like a few hours. but it's got like the true ending, which is what I'm nearly at. Like that's what I'm progressing towards, because we've still got a few weeks before new games come out, so I've still got time to finish some stuff. And Hades is unfortunately a game I didn't quite get to the end of, but like everything about this game is wonderful. Like I can't criticize a single thing about this game. Like if I tried to think of it, there's nothing I could criticize about it. I could criticize the difficulty, like being maybe a bit too much for it for a game that is so narratively driven. But the God mode exists, so you can just turn that on, and it doesn't make the game worse. Like it's an easy mode that doesn't make the game too easy, because it scales. You get a little bit more powerful every time you die, so eventually you just stop dying, which means you find that perfect balance of difficulty. Like, so even the thing I would say I would criticize is the thing that they thought of and fixed it. Like, there's nothing bad about this game, and I'm mad that it that it came out in the same year as my number one game, because it means I can't ping in my number one.
Yeah, you can.
So, God damn it, 2020, you struck again. Hades couldn't have just come out in 2019 like it was supposed to. No, it had to come out in 2020. It's an amazing game. Like, this is a game I recommend. This is probably one of the very few games I just recommend to everyone. Like, no questions asked. Like, not accounting for taste or anything like that. It's just literally play Hades. Play Hades. Everybody play it. Even if you don't think it looks like a game for you, trust me, it is. Play it. It's amazing. Of course, I know what this means. It means we've got the same number one.
I was thinking if you were going to change it up and maybe to put Hades number one.
So no, I do not bow to peer pressure. It's like, if I wouldn't put it at number one just to have a different number one. So do you want to say what it is, and then we'll just have a joint discussion?
Best game in our collective opinions of 2020 is Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2. This game has been my favorite game this year since I played it. I fundamentally remember playing this game and fundamentally having physical reactions of not wanting to do what the game was asking me to do, and I loved that about it. That's how much I loved this game. It's fundamentally got me to do things I did not want to do.
I mean,
but yeah. I love it about that because of what it's done with its story.
When a video game has a QTE in it, and you've reached a point in the story where you don't want to do the QTE.
Yep.
Like, that is a game that has just succeeded at everything it's trying to do. That is a game that's under your skin. Like, I'm not... Yeah. Like, I don't know many people who would have tried to see what happened if you didn't push the button first before eventually doing it. Like, that's mind-boggling. Like, it's a video game, but like it asks you to do a thing where you don't do the thing.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's so good.
The thing is about what I love about this game so much is that for half of this game, you are focused on one thing and one thing only. And that is finding the people who, spoilers, kill Joel. That is your fundamental goal. And it's a goal that we are all there for. We are there for. And it fundamentally, does they make it the ballsy decision? You like it or you don't. That's your decision. There's no problem whatsoever about that. But for me, I love this decision of where they flip you and you play as the character that killed Joel, Abby. And you fundamentally see her change, going through the same days that what Ellie does, seeing what she does while Ellie's doing other things, which we have already played as, and you see her fundamentally change from the character she was at the beginning of you playing her to the end of the game.
Yep.
She changes so much where just one line that she says to, what's the character's name? Lev, yeah, that she says, "You're my people." When he says to her, "Your people just killed my sister," she says, "No, you're my people. I don't care about them." These characters, they literally did the same story of basically The Last of Us within half a game, basically. Twisted it a little bit because obviously you kill the main character from The Last of Us, which I can understand why people were very angry by to a certain
That's
point of view.
point. That's the point of the game. We're gonna have to do a non-spoiler section for this, by the way, because we've done a 2-hour spoiler discussion. Just FYI, like, so we can actually recommend the game to people who haven't played it. But that's the point. Like the whole point of the moment where that happens is so you are angry. You are supposed to be in Ellie's shoes. So if you're really, really angry that happened, good. That's the point. That's what you're supposed to be at that moment in the game.
Yeah.
Then
That's
some people took
it
too far and it became a whole shitstorm, and some people are just wrong on the internet.
Dicks. Let's just be frank. They're dicks. It can be dicks, but yeah, this is the thing about what this story did so well for me. Even better is that, like I said, you are on Ellie's side. By day 2, you are questioning if you are on Ellie's side. Not that she deserves revenge, is that how far is right to go? Because she does things that you are fundamentally breaking the character that you love, that you wanted to protect in this first game so much that they basically get you to break her to get her revenge. And when she leaves to go and find Abby one last time, you are begging her not to. That's how great this game is. You are begging her. You know if she goes, she might not come back. Not physically, but psychologically. Ellie will be gone as the character that you wanted. And I think what they do at the end of the game is what she chooses at the end saves the character fundamentally. She's scarred from this. What happens? You always will be. She will always will be. She basically lost her father in that game. But how they do it with the storytelling, I love this game. I said it when I first played it, and I'll say to this game, my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy IX. I've said that multiple times. The Last of Us Part 2, I put up with that pedestal. Those two are my favorite games of all time. That's how much I love this game. Last of Us 1 is fantastic. It's legendary. But what number 2 does hits me to my core, and I can't say anything more about it. The Last of Us Part 2, for me, is the best game of 2020.
Okay, spoilers over. I mean, it was difficult trying to figure out what the number one 2020 game was. Like, when I sent you the thing and I blanked out the top 4, it was literally because that top 4 had changed on a daily basis. And I couldn't decide on which one of those 4 games was the number one, and it turns out all 4 of them, like, spiritually are the number one. The thing that swung it for me was a story I told on a podcast a little while ago, where it's like, and I did this to myself to test the theory if it still worked, where it's like that Future Days is a song I can't listen to without becoming emotional, and it's not a particularly emotional song, but because of The Last of Us Part 2, like, because that brings it all back, like everything that happens in that game, like is like I did the stupidest thing ever this year, which was we recorded the podcast about The Last of Us Part 2 like 4 hours after I finished the game, like, which was interesting experience, but gave me no time to sit with what happened in that game. So it was a very strange game to try and critique what was going on, what had happened in the game. And obviously now I've had months to sort of sit with the game and think about it. And right now, footage is playing on the screen of the museum sequence, which is none of the things that we talked about, like, and none of the things that anyone really talks about, because the Last of Us Part 2 like hits so many different emotions, and that the emotion on that is just like, it's just such a nice moment, and in a game about death and murder and revenge and heartbreak. But like, Last of Us Part 2 has a lot of moments like that, and I think the game is about hope. It takes a brutal path to get there. Like, this is one of my favorite stories in a video game. And I said this about Nier Automata, and I'll say this about The Last of Us Part 2. What elevates it is, this could have only been done in a video game. There's no way this, like, you could tell this story in another medium, but it wouldn't have the same impact because you aren't controlling it, and because you wouldn't be able to experience the story in the way or the order that you do in the game.
Yeah.
This could have only been done in a game, and it could have only evoked the emotional responses that it did because it's a video game. Like, and because you're pushing buttons and doing the things. And we've just spent ages talking about The Last of Us Part 2. Talking about the characters and the story. Like, the gameplay is really good. I managed to, without knowing, I managed to time that to a transition from a story bit into a combat bit. Like, it was fate. Like, the gameplay is really good. Like, it's really solid. You shoot people. It's fucking brutal. Like, to the point where, like, sometimes you kill someone and just be like, Jesus. Like, you know, like, there's no part of playing the combat where you go, yeah, I'm killing people. It's always just like, Jesus, I wish I could stop. But also it's fun, like, to shoot people in the face. Go figure. Video games figured that out a long time ago.
Call of Duty did.
Call of Duty certainly did. But like, this is what tipped it over to be my number one over the other three games. Was just, it left a lasting emotional impact on me in a way that the other games didn't. Like, the stories and the emotions and everything are all really great in all three of the other games, but like, when I can just like hear a song from the game, from The Last of Us Part 2, and like choke up. I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened from a video game. It's happened from one other video game now that I think about it, which is Final Fantasy VII. But hey, Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time, so you know, it's in good company. Truly exceptional game. Like, I think the fact that people were mad about it beforehand, before it came out, helped, because it unintentionally lowered my expectations. Like, I knew the people who were going mad about it were obviously wrong because of the types of people that were going mad about it. But it still lowered my expectations, probably just enough for me to be blown away by this game from start to finish.
Yeah. This I'll say what I said when I tweeted out after I finished it. If this was a film, I would say give it all the Oscars. It would have been nominated for everything, just like it did at the Game Awards. And I know people are a bit and cried and blah 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 that it got won pretty much, clean sweeped it basically at the Game Awards, if I remember rightly. Pretty much.
What other games have ever clean sweeped at the Game Awards, I wonder? I mean, it didn't win Game of the Year, but it wasn't nominated because the Game Awards are a travesty. But continue.
No, but this type of storytelling is what gets you recognized the most. And I can't wait to see what Naughty Dog do next. If they do a Last of Us Part 3, or if they bring and do a new IP. Whatever they're gonna do, I cannot wait. That's how great Naughty Dog have been.
That's it?
They did it.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize. I thought you were done. You paused for a long time. But you keep talking. It's fine.
I was gonna say they've earned the respect of giving you amazing games. They give you a fabulous send-off in Uncharted 4, and they give you an emotional ride in Last of Us Part 2.
And that's it. for this episode of the Weekly Review. I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to say anything. Game of the year. We'll keep the outro really, really brief because it's a long podcast, but we knew it would be. Next Monday, we are back with our most anticipated games for 2021. We might have some special guests on that. I'm messaging people. The week after that, there's still no new games coming out, so we're gonna do our favorite games of the last generation. Some of them we've probably just talked about. Let's be fair. But that's it. Everything goes back to normal in a few weeks. The podcast will be back out on Friday, where we discuss all of the things around video games that aren't video games. It, as Moody said earlier, it's a knockout. Let's get out of here. I'm losing my mind.
Much love, everybody. Stay safe and have a good 2021.